There we go. There I am. Alright, let's try this again. I gotta love how my internet just fucking dies for no reason. I love that. Just like the rocks in fucking Friday the 13th. Get a new ISP. Yeah, you're right, Guapo. I gotta call fucking my ISP tomorrow. Alright, let's continue.
Time consuming. The torch is mandatory to make progress, especially since it takes one
Nice stream, Okuma, man.
One life point.
I'm back.
Yes, one whole life point off Jason for each hit, but luckily there's a much easier method of equipping this powerful weapon. You just have to seek out one specific cabin in order to get a node, which is accomplished by pressing select to access the menu and choosing the take option by pressing A. Enter the woods next to it. Head to the right and enter the first path you see twice in a row, which leads to the secret cabin.
That's where you fight Jason's mom, who's a giant fucking Medusa head.
Exit and re-enter, and a note will appear.
Oh, you don't fight Jason's mom here. In the cave?
Return to the cabin, and there you go. Torch City.
Oh.
Repeat this as necessary.
I didn't even know you could fucking do that in this game. Holy shit. I'm learning stuff.
For as many counselors as needed. While it's true that the preset rock is rather wimpy, the torch is available from the start of a playthrough with the help of this method. The torch is a total WMD, so I think that a little inconvenience at the start with the pebbles can be forgiven. Another complaint that's been mentioned time and again is that the map is confusing. Moving the character right on screen can
left is right, right is left, cats and dogs, mass hysteria.
Result in steps towards the left on the map. I'll admit that this can get rather annoying, but it also makes sense within the level design. The majority of the main routes are laid out in a circular pattern. In other words, if you keep going in one direction, you'll eventually end up where you started. Hence, the discrepancy.
That's still very fucking weird and confusing.
Between the location markers. All I have to say about this is to just do what I do. Pause the game frequently to consult which direction to go. There's no penalty for doing so, and Jason's not going to finish his homicidal rampage if it's left idle on the pause screen for 5 seconds.
Jason's very patient like that.
Speaking of which, that leads into another commonly held irritating factor of Friday the 13th. The Jason alarm. This goes off whenever a cabin is under siege by the mute masked maniac. A countdown timer appears near the health bar when this goes off, and the player has to make it to that cabin before the timer reaches 0, or else it's lights out permanently for the innocent campgoers.
Honestly, I just said fuck them kids. I basically did all the stuff you had to do, then I went and found Jason. By the end of my playthrough, I had like one cabin left with kids.
Frequently, the threatened cabin will be on the other side of the map. Surely it's impossible to make it before Jason drops the axe, right? Absolutely it is. If you're doing it wrong, it's not necessary to walk around the paths jumping over countless zombies to get to the cabin. All that has to be done is to head into the nearest small cabin and press start. From here, move the cursor to the counselor who is nearest to...
Holy shit, I did not know you could do that. Jesus fuck!
Or inside the...
Surprised a modern indie team hasn't made a game inspired by this. Hey, Musicology, yeah, you'd think they would.
Cabin under alert.
Get to it, puppet combo.
Start again, and that character will be controllable. Maneuver them around the room until Jason pops up. Problem solved. As for Jason himself, on the first day, he's...
They did make a Jason game, yeah.
Fairly easy, even with the...
They tried to make a Halloween game, but they got a cease and desist. So it became Babysitter Bloodbath instead, and they just painted Michael Myers' face to look like a clown.
Pebbles. It's just a waiting game. He's lurking in one of those dark corners. He always seems to pop up when you least expect. Holy shit, hair is on!
Kind of like a Dead by Daylight clone. Yeah, Jesus, fuck. Speaking of puppet combo... Oh, we're watching Captain S. Nice. Imagine killing Jason by hucking a rock at his fucking head.
That was scary. But that was the risk that I took by filming from the scene of the crime. Anyway, let's get this back on track and hope that there's no more unpleasant interruptions.
Like I was saying, Jason has to be stopped from his killing spree, primarily targeting the Camp Crystal Lake children. Of course, this goes against the movies, where Jason mostly killed teenagers with a few adults thrown in here or there, but...
Technically, in Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason actually did kill some kids. There was a scene where, like, the only reason Jason never really tried to kill kids is because kids weren't at the fucking cabins yet. That's why it's mostly teenagers, because he only really kills. Buy a new Wi-Fi extended and steal better internet from your neighbors. Hey, Torch. That's why. He tried to kill Jarvis in Part 4, and he was a kid.
Whatever.
So Jason does try to kill kids.
Purple-clad Jason has to be defeated 3 times. Which kind of makes sense.
Buzz keeps DDoSing your... Yeah. We're kind of went all... Yeah,
that
true.
The title screen is based on Part 4, which is Jason's 3rd starring role, so I'll go with it. This is accomplished rather slowly, so practice those dodging skills to avoid Jason's fists and machete slices. The psychopath generally fights until he takes a few hits, and then he retreats. For now. Jason has an annoying habit of attacking the cabins on the water regularly. In these instances, it's best to use the weaker counselors like Paul, George, and Debbie as cannon fodder. There's no need to feel bad about this.
Yeah, use the black guy as bait.
It's survival of the fittest sorting out the natural order. The first order of business is to power up Mark, Chrissy, and possibly Laura.
So I turned it off. I have Jason X. It's alright. The movie doesn't take itself too seriously because like it's Jason in space. Fuck it.
The more powerful
it's fun.
Collect as many vitamins as possible for each and choose one of them to don Jason's mother's sweater. It basically functions as armor, reducing the amount of damage taken for each hit. The sweater is obtained, not surprising,
by fighting Jason's mom. I got the sweater. I beat the game as fucking one of the girls, I think.
By taking it from...
I did see all of Jason versus Freddy was pretty good.
Pam Voorhees herself. Or rather, her floating decapitated head. Like Jason, Pam can...
I like the movie only because the Andromeda cast are in it, yeah.
...be fought 3 times, and the sweater was received after the fight on day 2. These battles can be pretty tricky, but unlike...
She can kill you in one hit if you're not careful, too.
...the showdown with her son, these are completely optional. It's not necessary to get the machete, sweater, or pitchfork from her, but they can make all the difference between success and failure in the conclusion.
The pitchfork's fucking really powerful, so yeah, it's worth it. Joey versus Medusa heads.
As Friday the 13th draws near the end, Jason's
Joey versus Pamela Voorhees head.
Behavior becomes ever more...
I'm pissed. The Friday the 13th video game, that fucking awesome symmetrical multiplayer game, they were going to have Pamela Voorhees in the game as one of the killers, which makes sense because she was the killer in the first movie. They didn't, though, because they didn't get enough money on fucking Patreon or whatever. Oh, I was pissed. She would have been fucking great.
Bloodthirsty. His attacks speed up tremendously, and his appearances out on the trail drastically increase. He's still manageable in the cabins on day 2, but day 3 is a completely different story. When this point
hey, Richard.
is reached, the best strategy is to take the fight to him on the trail. Use the counselor with the sweater and just hammer the B button until Crystal Lake is forever rid of the scourge of Jason Voorhees.
Dead by Meme Light ruined everything. We're getting a fucking Killer Clowns from Outer Space game that plays like that. You have finally managed to defeat Jason. But is he really dead?
Maybe.
We're not telling. Fuck you. Hey, for posterity. Medusa heads. Oh, right. New Castlevania so fucking paused. It had... Oh, yeah, I saw that. Didn't this... I don't know if this... I've never actually watched this dude before. This is my first time really watching his shit, so I don't know. But yeah, that new Castlevania show fucking sucks. They took one of my favorite Castlevania games and they're making a Puppet Master game? Holy shit. Hell yeah. Yeah, they took one of my favorite Castlevania games and shit on it.
Friday the 13th isn't a straightforward dive right in type of game. It's...
Some people can't actually picture things. I cannot believe that. I'm always daydreaming and fucking imagining shit in my head. I can conjure an apple in my fucking head. Right now I'm thinking about a big green Granny Smith apple. And that being a self-insert by that fucking bitch. Cannot imagine anything. Hellraiser game on the NES. Yes, I heard about that. It was supposed to be a kind of roguelike game.
Quite obtuse.
We also would have gotten a Doom clone Hellraiser game, which looked really fucking cool.
Before tips videos and FAQs were readily available, this likely required Nintendo power or countless hours of trial and error playthroughs to learn the ropes of. I'll admit that when I first played it...
Chucky game? Yeah, I could picture a Chucky game, a 4v1 Chucky game.
I didn't know what I was doing, and ultimately, I had to consult strategies online, most helpfully, this video. With that said, I've always enjoyed Friday the 13th, even before I had the knowledge to beat it. It may deviate greatly from the films, but I wouldn't change a thing about this glorious neon-tinged cartridge. In fact, I think I'd go as far as saying that it's my favorite of the LJN games on the NES.
I wouldn't go that far. One on the Xbox 360, but I got scrapped. The prototype for it got recently found on a dev kit. Nice! Why Annette was turned into a fucking French black woman, and why her personality is like everything feminist. Yeah.
I'd recommend everyone who doesn't own a copy to pick one up. Or for veteran gamers who already have it in their collection, to play it again for old time's sake. It's tons of fun, it's proto-survival horror at its finest, it's super cheap, and I'm
I don't know about that nowadays.
beyond happy to add it to the list of victories for the LJN Defender! You again!
Make French people seem normal.
And it's my responsibility to send you to hell where you belong!
This is the YouTube video that re-uploaded this. This guy deleted all his videos. But the YouTube video that re-uploaded it said it's from 2013. 2012 or 2013. Cheap NES games, most of the expensive ones are by Taito.
Oh, hi guys. You probably thought I was a goner after my ruckus of Mr. Voorhees, right? Nah, Jason and I are cool now. He's decided to seek out counseling and sort out his demons. Put down the knife, no more stabby. Took up miniature model making as a hobby. He's actually a really nice guy.
Look at them old ass. He looks like he in a Spectrum. Yeah. Look at them old ass Friday the 13th DVDs. I used to have that Jason Goes to Hell DVD. It had like both versions of the movie on it.
Hi, when you get to know him. We're gonna get brunch next week. It should be fun. Anyway, in honor of what day it is today, I've decided to take advantage of it in the most appropriate way possible. Movie marathon! I'm not sure which one to start with.
Watch part 2. No, watch part 1. Watch the first 4. And then if you're feeling curious, watch like part 5 and 6. Part 5, God, that hairline. Woody needs to be taken out of his misery. Part 5 gets a lot of hate because of the twist ending, but honestly, it's a good movie. Hey, Beeb, it's you, Ethan Ralph.
Though I definitely know which one to close it out with. The final chapter. 3 words, Crispin Glover dance. Oh yeah, baby.
That dance is fucking great. And he actually danced to the song Back in Black, but they couldn't get the rights to it. So they just replaced it with a song by Lion, which is a pretty good song, too.
Now, before I sign off, insert the usual social media spiel here, and be sure to check out JoJo's Retros video on his top 5 favorite LJN published games on the NES. I have it on good authority that a certain somebody makes an appearance on that, so...
Did a video on all the expensive NES games, and he had pretty much every NES game except for stadium events. Crispin Glover is a maniac. I love him. Hey, Metal Mugen. Yeah, Crispin Glover is great. That little dance he does is fucking funny as shit. Alright. More LJN Defender. Hopefully my internet doesn't crap out on me. Am I going the right way? No. Let's do a Game Boy game. Let's do Spider-Man on fucking Game Boy. Doesn't match because of his hairline. Is that why yes! My stream cut down like 3 times. Also, thank you for hitting the bell. I'm gonna grab something to drink, actually. I'll be right back. Hopefully the stream stays up. Pat has every NES game under the sun. Oh, yeah! Saw X, good movie, but damn, every character aside from John Kramer and Amanda were unlikables. Oh, they brought back Amanda? Nice! I might see that. We just heard Joey's real voice right now. The Pee Wee Herman voice I do? Was just comically evil. I need to check that movie out. I saw the first... I watched the first 3 Saw movies with... It was pretty good. They were pretty good movies. But I didn't really pay attention to the series after that. Hoffman came back for a cameo in the credits.
Hey guys.
And they play the Hello Zepp song with the big twist. It's like, oh my god! Basically, John Kramer gets scammed of a fake surgery that he claimed he would have saved his life, so he gets his revenge on all of them. We're gonna play a game. Look at all them Genesis games. That used to be my collection before I sold. I was a dumbass. 14 years ago, I sold my Sega Genesis, my Sega CD, and like almost all of my games except for 2. The only games I have left in my collection are Sewer Shark and Mortal Kombat.
Welcome to a new experiment in the Cygnus Destroyer LJN Defender repertoire. As I'm sure you've already noticed, this video marks the beginning of Spider-Man Month on the channel. As I was made aware by Adrian Farron,
Spider-Man Month.
August marks the 52nd anniversary of the first appearance of Spider-Man in Amazing Fantasy 15. As soon as he reminded me of this,
12 cents for that comic book? That comic book is worth billions nowadays.
I knew it'd be a perfect time to tackle the Game Boy titles. I was originally going to do it in my traditional multi-game review style. However, I changed my mind and decided to try reviewing them separately on a weekly basis. Weekly. My decision was strengthened after seeing the reception that the Hunt for Red October mini review received.
He looks like he dresses in drag. Hey, D-Man.
A number of you have said that you'd love to see me do more reviews like that, so this is my way of testing it out. This doesn't mean that the
Is he really a troon? Holy shit.
long-form videos are ending. Of course,
I can't imagine a dude with that hairline trying to grow out women's hair. Holy fuck.
it's not. However, this would allow me to review more of the games that I own.
Ooh, I see that Power Ranger morpher in the background. They just released the final That's why I deleted all of his videos. Oh, that sucks. He changed his name to Rebecca. No! This is why some men were just given to the church. No, don't do that. That's awful.
So I'm really excited about the possibility.
HRT and autogynephilia did the nerd communities what crack did the black communities in the 80s.
This would provide me. Let's give it.
And he plays Animal Crossing only now.
The seed of the idea.
Jesus. That's fucking sad. Because this guy's videos aren't bad. They're informative. The editing's alright, but Jesus. Signature Troon square jaw.
Month, and in the process, leading me to try out weekly mini reviews. Now,
if he worked out, the dude would look like a total Chad, too. All he needed to do was hit the gym.
It's time to load up your web shooters and swing across the skyline with the original.
Sonic Forces is better than Sonic No. I wonder what his relationship with his dad is. Probably not good.
Amazing Spider-Man. Released in July.
I had that game. My stepdad gave me former stepdad, gave me an old video game, old Game Boy, and it came with Mario Land, which I played the fuck out of, and it came with that game, which I tried so hard to play that fucking game. That game is so fucking hard. The Troon epidemic is making me ashamed to be in the game. It's everywhere. If you have a, Is it me or he has a worse hairline? And this video is more recent. If you have like a nerdy hobby, if you're into something that's nerdy, chances are it'll be overrun with troons. They're fucking everywhere. They're like locusts. Hit the gym and get medicine for that hair. He'd be fine. Like, in the tokusatsu community, fucking troons are everywhere. Speedrunning, troons, programming, troons, non-stop, wall to wall. They're everywhere. Rich Lowell called it. Because troon, yes. Most troon, don't forget the gays, and yes. Again, most troons are fucking heavily autistic. They're autistic, porn-addicted incels that think being a woman will make their lives easier, not realizing why women's lives are easier.
1990.
Oh, that game is really fucking hard. Who can forget the infamous View? I think I got up to level 3, and I just couldn't beat it.
The Webhead's initial entry into the portable market was developed by Rare.
Rare, they're like one, yeah.
Yes, that...
BPD is rampant among troons. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, Rare had a rough few years before they started hitting their stride. Like, Battletoads was when Rare started getting really good. And then you got the Donkey Kong Country series, Killer Instinct. This is why I don't go to conventions. Same. Donkey Kong Country series, Killer Instinct, Banjo Conquer. Just like, there was a period in like the 90s and the 2000s. I want to say the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s to like 2001, 2002, where Rare was just unstoppable. They were like John Carpenter making movies in the 80s, or Michael Jackson making music in the fucking 80s and 90s. Just hit after hit, constantly. You like the Roger Rabbit game? It's not bad. We have troons, people who fake their deaths, overpriced shit, and we claim an average game is a hidden gem. Conventions used to be fun. Some say Chris Chan isn't really a troon, but he is different, not different at all. Chris Chan's a troon. Now they just AIDS fest. Put random gibberish in the password screen and see what happens. Metroid was the same way, and so was Metal Gear. Because the password screens are basically just programming the game to act a certain way. But yeah, Chris Chan's a troon, 100%. Exploration is fun. The final boss is ludicrously hard. What is your thoughts on Power Rangers ending after 30 years because the suits want original sit, so they don't have to buy footage rights and merchandising? I haven't watched Cosmic Fury, but from everything I've heard, it looks like hot ass. Some dude wanted $3,000. Fuck, I hope he kissed you first. Late 90s episodes of Electric Playground. I'll do that. Kids still watch it. Not really. It's mostly adults. It's weird guys like me that watch it. But yeah, I haven't watched Cosmic Fury. I watched Dino Fury. Gaming shows on TV are rare. I used to watch Judgment Day. Tommy Tallarico had a lot of shitty opinions. But yeah, I watched Dino Fury. It was alright. I liked it. Cosmic Fury looks like fucking ass. And they shouldn't have even bothered with Megazord footage. Fuck it. Yeah, I remember liking the 95 Power Rangers movie. Ivan Ooze was a cool villain. GamePro TV was good. I like Tommy Tallarico's music, but the guy gave a 4.5 out of 10 to Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Rare developed.
Vic is kind of now a cuck. It happens.
A number of LJN.
It was so cheesy. Used to be good. I need to watch GamePro TV. I think I watched the GamePro videotape on this stream once.
Licensed tie-ins, including Who Framed Roger Rabbit, A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street's pretty good. We're going to talk about that one next.
And Beetlejuice.
Demographics for Linkara the Lightbringer. Nah, little kids really aren't into Power Rangers. It's mostly people that grew up with it and weird toku cucks. Toku dudes. Evolved into a genuine weirdo. The Earthworm Jim OST is good. It is. He did the Terminator Sega CD OST, and it's fucking fantastic.
For another time.
Tommy Tallarico tried to make this fucking weird Intellivision console with like in television Amico, and it never happened.
The Amazing Spider-Man is one of the first video games to feature Peter Parker's alter ego.
The history of Power Rangers videos will be done when it's done. Stop demanding. See, ooh, lucky you. I had the Sega Genesis version. I saw that D-Man Toxic Avengers getting a remake starring Peter Dinklage. I don't picture Peter Dinklage when I picture Toxic Avenger, unless they're going to have like a stuntman do all this shit. It's like this big dude. I cannot picture that. Also, that Toxic Avengers game looks really fucking fun. Was convinced that Linkara was pretending to be a character. Bless her heart. Bless her heart. My name is Lois Lovehog, and I'm pretending to be a character.
Even preceding the
history of Power Rangers will be done when it's done. It's worth fucking $500, the Toxic Avenger Game Boy game. I played the NES Toxic Avenger game, and I liked it. It was pretty good. Bandai did a good job with that game. It's alright. The Sega Genesis game was fucking terrible, though.
Return to the Sinister Six?
The NES game even had the Toxic Avenger theme song, which is fucking awesome.
For the NES.
Speaking of which,
or Spoonie didn't tune out for attention. I am shocked Spoonie didn't. Linkara is just a homosexual. I don't think he's gonna troon out. He's just gonna fuck troons. Now, who's a filthy cockslut? I am. A game of darts where it lands determines if it's expensive or dirt cheap. Yeah.
Return of the Sinister Six, Maximum Carnage, the animated series game will not be featured as part of Spider-Man Month. I just wouldn't have time to properly...
He dumped Iron Liz after the snip. Maximum Carnage is a fucking awesome game. Spoonie's girlfriend did that for him, so clearly Linky is a bottom.
Plus, I just want to kind of...
Spider-Man games, the 1991 arcade game by Sega. I've never played that. I played Maximum Carnage for the Sega Genesis, which is fucking amazing. That actually got me listening to Green Jelly's music, which is a really good band. I played Spider-Man, what was that? The Return of the Kingpin, or Spider-Man versus the Kingpin for the Sega CD, which is pretty good. A little cheesy. I played Spider-Man 2 for the GameCube, which is fucking awesome. I played Ultimate Spider-Man for the GameCube, which was really good. And I played the newer games too. And the Amazing Spider-Man for the Game Boy. There was also Friend or Foe for the Xbox, which is like a beat-em-up. Sega CD game was easy as hell once you understood that leave the level at the boss glitch. Wait, what?
Now, that addressed, let's get on with the review.
The story starts off with Mysterio contacting the Daily Bugle staff photographer via walkie-talkie. Unfortunately, the villain has more in his mind than some bro time in the Parker Tree Fort, residence. Domi
Girls
has
and goblins not
Mary
around.
Jane, and between trading insults, tells Pete to meet him in the
You could leave the level and heal up before fight.
alleyway for
Oh
more
wow, that's smart.
information. Not surprisingly, level 1 is set in said alleyway.
I used to love the Spider-Man cartoon that aired on Fox Kids. That was a good show. The soundtrack was done by the same, looks like Robot Randy. I have that game. The soundtrack was done by the same guy who did the Masked Rider and Digimon soundtracks. And yeah, it really does sound like the Masked Rider and Digimon soundtracks. I can just hear Dex in the background when I'm watching the show go, ugh, ugh. From Realms Deep, everyone in Discord is hyped as fuck. Game got your intro. Who the fuck is Realms Deep? Get back to work, Spider-Man.
Everything seems hunky-dory about this early Game Boy release. The graphics are impressive, the action is properly paced.
That game is fucking hard. I played this game as a kid. I was able to beat Mario Land. No cheats, no Game Gear, no Game Genie, no nothing. I cannot get past level 3 of this game, and I'm almost always going to die in the second level. Mr. Mediker is going to troon out. Chat, should I take the HRT? Chat, maybe King of Pole stop trying to bully me and he can suck my dick. Chat.
And best of all, there's minimal to
Joey,
no slowdown.
no!
Digging past the surface layer reveals some flaws in the controls. Some critics have brought up that there's a
Web shooting, being able to web around like Spider-Man does. I'll link the live stream on Dick Sword. Beating game without sword. Yes, I've done it. what cancer does to a motherfucker. I beat Friday the 13th without fucking rewind. I beat fucking Mario Land without There's a bunch of games. Kirby. Although Kirby games are easy. The hell is that Virtual Boy Border? He's got like a fucking backlight, but for some reason it's fucking red.
Between the button press and the actual attack, but I haven't really noticed this. If there's a delay, it's certainly no more than that of its early period.
F-113? Friday the 13th. Blood Boy.
Appears for the original Nintendo handheld. The big issue for me in regards
Blood
to the
Boy.
controls is with the jumping. There are two
Splatterhouse.
jumps,
That's a good game.
The equivalent in height of a double jump. Whereas this is normally accomplished by tapping the A button twice in quick succession, here it's done by pressing A during a walk. This sounds simple, but believe me,
Rewind.
For the life of me, I couldn't get this down on a consistent basis. You'd think that as long as the D-pad is held left or right, a press of the A button would send him leaping high into the air, but more often than not, I'd repeatedly stop short at an obstacle in my path. Despite what the title says, this Spider-Man doesn't seem so
a pretty darn average Spider-Man
to me. Once the jumping mechanic is adapted to, progression for the stages is hindered by your typical everyday...
Got the soy. Steven did it on Heather, and Christian was doing his mom. Doing his mom.
Criminals. Some wield bats, others have guns, and my favorites are the ones that lumber to...
People say Christian has a girlfriend, but I'm pretty sure that's either a woman looking for clout or a care worker.
Defenselessly straight toward...
It's like a social worker that's trying to take care of Chris. But because Christian is a fucking retard coomer, he doesn't understand the difference between a fucking service worker trying to keep his retard ass off the streets and a woman that wants his dick.
Towards the wall crawler with their arms held stock still at their sides.
Julie.
Regardless of what they're packing...
I hope her name was Julie. The 1930s who became pregnant. What the fuck?
Go down in quick succession. In level 1, the lip...
Who the fuck starts a conversation like that? Lots of old school... I haven't heard about it. I've been a little busy today. Lots of old school shooters. What they got? They got fucking blood. Thirsting over some VTuber who he calls motherly. Ew. Yeah, the whole mommy GF thing doesn't work for Christian. Mandated boyfriend-free. Let's stay mandated boyfriend-free girlfriend. Lena Medina is her name.
One of the
Lena Medina.
Franchise.
Sounds like Amelia Bedelia. That fucking dumbass maid that couldn't do shit right.
Famous rogues gallery pops up out of the sewer holes to try to take a bite out of the human arachnid. Very crafty, Connors, but Pete's got the drop on you. Literally.
Boosh!
The default method of dispatching...
I'm Medina on your Alina.
This menace is just a punch, but Parker's signature webbing can be shot out to eliminate the threat from a distance by pressing down or up on the D-pad and B. Be careful not to rely on this, as the webbing is limited and is much better served in the function of swinging away over the enemies below.
Yo, Tobey Maguire, the goat Spider-Man.
This is performed by holding the A button at the end of a high jump. As mentioned before, this can free our hero from the horde below, but in the process...
I wish they'd release the fucking Japanese Spider-Man show on Blu-ray. That'd be fucking awesome. Video is going to be around 70 minutes. That is short as I can get it. Oh, fuck. The one where Empty Hero keeps falling down? That's funny.
From a sitting duck to the bats, birds, and other aerial pests that live...
Yeah, and, Toei had some weird connection with Marvel in the 70s. Tobey Maguire, the GOAT Spider-Man. Joey sounded like a 14-year-old. I already have lots of ideas. Awesome. Yeah. For real, on God, no cap. Bussin'. And I got the curly fucking broccoli hair. Marvel and Toei had a weird, like, connection back in, like, the 1970s and 80s. Show, Joey. So, they made a Japanese Spider-Man TV show that's basically like Kamen Rider with Spider-Man. And they also had the rights to make a Captain America show. The Captain America show ended up being a Super Sentai series. It was supposed to be called, like, Captain Japan, but they didn't want to do that, so they ended up making Battle Fever J. And all the characters are different, like, parts of the world. So you had Battle Japan, Battle France, Battle Cossack, or Russia, Battle Kenya, who was played by Space Sheriff Gavin, and then you had Miss America. And that show is technically a part of Marvel. That's a Marvel series. And I kind of wish we'd get that show on Battle Fever J. Empty is cringe. I'm now a Brit Bong fan. Let's go, man. Infamy is still an attraction to Strarded woman. Look at that fat fuck Steve Asante. He got, what the fuck? Battle Israel. Oh god. No, Battle Fever J. Actually, the Japanese Spider-Man show, because it's Japan, Spider-Man had a giant fucking robot called Leopardon. And if the Spider-Man show didn't have the giant robot, they wouldn't have done it in Battle Fever J. And I think in the comics they teamed up with Captain America to fight against the Flag Smashers. That's fucking awesome. But yeah, had Spider-Man not have a giant robot, Super Sentai wouldn't have had a giant robot. And Power Rangers wouldn't have a giant robot by extension.
To the sky. Things may look pretty dire for the superhero, but there are power-ups
Spider-Man is the reason there are giant robots in Power Rangers.
in the form of burgers and web fluid refills to replace
How is that
the finite
copyright protected? I don't get it.
health and ammunition meters. These items pop up quite frequently, most often in empty windows, so be on constant vigilance for these essential lifesavers. If the titular character fails in his duty to restore peace, fear not, as whether continuing or coming back after a lost life, he resurrects right back.
I might misremember, but they did try to advertise the Japanese show and manga to Americans. Yeah, they didn't have the same yeah. They actually released Go Ranger, the manga, in America. If you don't know, Super Sentai, like Japanese Hulk and Ultraman team-ups. Super Sentai started as a series created by the guy who created Kamen Rider and Cyborg 009, I believe it's called. And he made a manga of Go Ranger, and they released it in America, and it's pretty good. I need to get the Kamen Rider one, too. I don't know why I haven't gotten that one yet. But yeah, it's a pretty good manga, and yeah, he was the guy that created it. That's why sometimes when you watch Power Rangers, you'll see Shotaro Ishinomori credited. That's because he created Go Ranger and Jaka. He created the first two Super Sentai series, which for the longest time weren't counted as Super Sentai series. They basically said Battle Fever J was the first one until O-Ranger came out, and they're like, nah. Go Ranger and Jacker are also the first two.
Back where he left
It's
off,
weird.
Simon's quest style.
Irate Ghost Whisperer. I need to do that.
This applies to boss fights as well, even retaining how much life had been taken off the bar on the previous attempt. Whether soaring above like a bird on the wind or taking out tufts of extreme prejudice on the ground, the end of each level always results in a boss fight with the iconic supervillains. First up is Mysterio, who dematerializes and flits
My boy fucking Jake Gyllenhaal, Mysterio.
back and forth in a damaging...
I've never watched the second new Spider-Man movie. Times did you watch those Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter videos? They were good videos. I actually watched them a few days ago after I was streaming. They were good shit.
Vapor Trail. Mysterio's not too difficult, but the webhead can lose a lot of health quickly if he gets too close.
That boss, motherfucking Mysterio, my boy Jake Gyllenhaal. Mysterio took me so many tries to beat when I was a kid. Fuck that guy. Why is there a score?
Second level brings on another walkie-talkie convo, this time with the Hobgoblin.
When they did the new the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, the third one, the Green Goblin's son comes back as another Green Goblin. Why didn't they just give him an orange suit and call him the Hobgoblin? Fuck it. You're not doing like one-to-one accuracy with the comic books. Have him be the Hobgoblin.
What sets the second and fourth levels apart from the rest is that they begin with a vertical wall crawling.
There's a suicide button. What do you mean you're trying to jump off while hanging onto a building?
The objective is simple. Get to the top of the building and jump into the open window marked in. These sections contain an assortment of falling debris, baddies with weapons, and deadly birds of prey waiting to dispose of the friendly neighborhood Good Samaritan. These areas can get awfully hectic and quick. I mean, just look at this.
That is some bullshit. Monty Marathon and stream Dead Fantasy and Holoid. End the video with the speech that you shouldn't write in your will that all your property and health are regulated by to the gold digger. Actually, I want to do, what was it, Night of the Living Dead. I think I'll do that sometime this week, because that's a good movie. And there's no copyright, so I can do that, because I can fucking do that. The birds!
That's
Birdemic.
a chaotic mess if I've ever seen one. The rooftop fight that follows isn't as hard as it's made out to be, especially with a modicum of control over the high jump and web swing. The hobgoblin battle that ensues at the finish is laughably easy. Just crouch in a spot and spam the kick button.
Oh, this was so easy when I figured it out.
It'll connect when he flies up. It's pumpkin bombs and repeat from step 1. Easy peasy. Later boss fights involve the Scorpion, Rhino, and Doc Ock.
Break up that video. Alright, yeah, I'll do that. Thank you. Hobgoblino.
Among others, but the general formula remains largely...
I'm just picturing the Hobgoblin, but he has that, like, zoomer hair where it's like broccoli. And he's like, yo, that's Spider-Man. I got these pumpkin bombs busting for real. No cap. Oh, God. For real, for real.
Changed.
The Amazing Spider-Man may not live up to its title, but considering that it was released during the infancy of the platform, I think it does a decent job of capturing the excitement and drama of a day in the life of the masked crime fighter. Is it a great game? Hell no! But it's not horrible either. Visually, it's fantastic.
This guy seems autistic. Yeah, someone said it. Yeah, this guy's on the spectrum.
Fantastic, but the controls leave a lot to be desired. The jumping is wonky, the attack timing takes some getting used to, and Parker can easily get caught in a barrage of bullets, birds, and rhino rampaging that will leave him dead in moments. It's clear to anyone that the Amazing Spider-Man has some serious flaws, but all in all, I like it for what it is. It probably helps that I really
the ZX Spectrum,
composed by the truly amazing David Wise. Wise was like the Hiroyuki Masuno for Rare, in that pretty much all
look
of
at
the
that fucking list. Oh my god. He did the music for Beetlejuice? Holy shit.
Had soundtracks composed. One thing I especially dig about this particular soundtrack is that the title song incorporates the classic 60s animated theme. Check it out.
And the video with the square hole shit.
That's really freaking cool if you ask.
Angry nerd, rather suck on a frozen turd or drink some crap from a moose. Gonna chug down some poopy juice.
Me, and if everything else about The Amazing Spider-Man sucked, it would still earn my respect for this alone. If you're a fan of the Game Boy and Marvel superhero titles, I definitely recommend picking this one up. But I would only get it for $5 tops, preferably less.
Or just emulate it.
That marks the end of the first entry in Spider-Man month. Next up on the agenda
is his power source takes a shit like a drunken horse.
Spider-Man 2. Development responsibilities were switched over from Rare to Bits.
With this gut and autism, I think he poops himself. Oh my god. We're gonna do a Nightmare on Elm Street, but first I'm gonna go use the restroom. We're gonna play some good Tim Fallen tracks from fucking Pictionary, because fucking why not? You're gonna fucking love it. Very unfortunate fucking... That is a fucking bop of a song. Holy shit. That's Tim Follin's work on NES Pictionary. God. Bald. A retro game reviewer going bald? No way. Bald. You guys are so mean. This is the LJN Defender, A Nightmare on Elm Street.
My name is Matt, and I review retro... I now don the moniker of...
Welcome to prime time, bitch!
Freddy's commentary.
Ah, fuck! You got a lozenge, Nancy?
I made mince
Give me
meat
that.
out of the Defender, and you're now next on the menu. So say your
Every
prayers
town
because-
has an Elm Street.
Okay.
Just go cue ball. Having such hair looks bad. Just, yeah, grow a beard out and bald yourself. Fuck it.
Okay. It was really me all along.
Cheap fuck, you couldn't get a Freddy sweater?
But obviously, this wasn't going to fool anybody. But you can't fault the guy for trying on Halloween.
Another retro game reviewer skit.
Speaking of which, I want to wish a very happy Halloween to all of you lovely people. Halloween is hands down my favorite holiday. There's no better time of year to watch a horror flick, play some spooky games, or even just go out on a night walk and soak in some creepy vibes. In spite of my
HRT? HRT Defender.
positive feelings towards the occasion,
Fuck me.
I wasn't sure if I wanted to do a Halloween video this year. I wasn't sure that I could outdo my Monster in My Pocket review from last year, which I still consider to be one of the best videos I've done to date. However, the request that I got in the Asterisk video...
He just got gayer with the Fantano cosplay.
And one particular game got the most requests out of them all. A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Doggo. A dog game? Wonder who he was impersonating.
My apologies, folks. There must have been a mix-up with the files. Beethoven is pretty terrifying, though.
They made a game based off Beethoven? I remember, that was like about the big dog.
That's for sure.
Damn.
Perhaps a little too terrifying.
I did not know they made a game based off the Beethoven movies. What the fuck? The real big dog. You got that dog in him? It was warm dog shit.
Anyway, let's give this another shot. A Nightmare on Elm Street, developed by Rare.
On Elm Street, not in, you fucking tranny.
Rare was fittingly released on October 1990. Elm Street, of course, was based on the popular slasher franchise created by Wes Craven in 1984. The plot...
Best Nightmare on Elm Streets. Nightmare on Elm Street 1, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, New Nightmare, and Freddy vs. Jason, I guess? I don't know. 4 was alright. 5 had some good scenes, but yeah. 1, 3, New Nightmare, and Freddy vs. Jason. It was one of the most expensive PAL Reasons SNES games. Wow.
Revolves around child murderer Freddy Krueger, portrayed by
It was like $700.
Robert Englund, who seeks revenge against the parental mob.
Robert Englund is Nightmare on Elm Street 4. Yeah, that was good. I liked it, but yeah, fuck it. 4 in there too. 1, 3, 4, New Nightmare. Even tried. Do they just get a wig? I'm pretty sure.
Burned them alive by haunting and slaughtering their children within their dreams.
Dream Warriors was fucking awesome. That's my favorite. 4 had the best kills. I mean, you can't really get better than fucking crushing a girl after turning her into a cockroach. Although I'm pissed, that cute black nerd with the big boobs, she gets killed off way too early. Fuck you, Freddy. I wanted to suck face with her, not you, bitch.
Very dark and gruesome subject matter.
Welcome to prime time, bitch.
The character became popular with the younger demographic and developed into a merchandising
which is fucking hilarious because Freddy was supposed to be a pedophile in the first movie. Female Steve Urkel. She was a female Steve Urkel, but she was cute as fuck. Yeah, Freddy was supposed to be a pedophile, and the only reason they didn't do that was because there was like a string of pedophile murders in fucking L.A. So Wes Craven was like, he's not a pedophile, he's a child murderer.
Bonanza.
That was their plot. A lot of really good... New Nightmare was really fucking good. And God damn it, Heather Langenkamp was a babe in that movie. Holy fuck, she was breathtaking.
Result, this rainbow embossed cartridge was put out in the market to capitalize on the craze, much like Friday the 13th had the year before. How would this genre powerhouse fare in comparison? Let's take a closer look.
That's a good soundtrack. I guess that's done by David Wise. That movie is almost 30 years old. Yeah, wow. My least favorite Nightmare movie is probably Freddy's Dead and 2. 2 was just not good. I gave 2 a chance. Movie theater when it came out. Yep, David Wise. I gave 2 a chance, but fuck. 2 was not good, and Freddy's Dead was even worse. Holy fuck, that movie sucked. Came up the same weekend as Pulp Fiction. Ow. You know what they call Freddy's Dead in France? What do they call Freddy's Dead in France? Box office bomb! Oh!
Right off the bat from the credit screen, the mood is set by the unsettling, eerie David Wise music. A number of people complained that Hirohiko Takayama's score on Friday the 13th failed to capture the essence of that film series, but Wise hits the nail perfectly on the head with this one. This fits A Nightmare on Elm Street to a T, and
Robert Englund, he was talking about his time doing Dream Warriors. Apparently all the boys on set on Dream Warriors had like a massive crush on Patricia Arquette. And who wouldn't? She was really cute in Dream Warriors. The guy who did the CGI for Freddy's Dead and the shitty Double Dragon movie did the CGI for Courage. I remember watching the Double Dragon movie when I was a kid, and I thought it was pretty fun.
I could totally see this being used in one of the films.
Oh shit. Freddy's looking at Nancy's pussy. I'm gonna skip this because this is movie footage, and I don't want to be fucked over.
Pops up with a menacing image of Krueger. This title screen...
Yeah! The Neo Geo Double Dragon Fighter was based off the movie. Not a bad game, actually. I played it not too long ago. It's pretty fun.
Must have terrified the tykes who popped this cart into their Nintendo.
I remember I was very little. I had to have been like 4 or 5. I was in my old neighborhood, which was like... Yeah. Taken from the French poster for... Yes! James Rolfe was going to say that, but then he said, fuck it. But that's why Freddy's hand has nails coming out of it instead of Freddy's glove. But yeah, I was in like... I went over to my neighbor's house with my brothers when I was like very young. And they had an NES, and I was playing Back to the Future for the NES on it. And I just remember getting tossed out of the milkshake shop as a kid. The fact that I could get past the fucking street levels to the milkshake shop was actually impressive. And then I looked over and I saw a Nightmare on Elm Street, and I was like, I want to play that. And they're like, no, it's too scary. I just remember the fucking cartridge for A Nightmare on Elm Street and just looking at it.
Back in the day, similar to the knife piercing the mask in Friday the 13th. However, as fantastic as the overall quality is, a key ingredient in the serial killer stew is absent.
Some critics have brought up the fact that the iconic glove is missing, and...
Couldn't get a Freddy glove off eBay, you fucking tranny?
I can't argue with that. It's clear as day that it's not there, and the blades are protruding from his hand. However, I think I actually prefer this look for him. He's got a Wolverine vibe going on, but with many, many more times the homicidal rage. I think I'd rather run into the gloved Krueger in a dark alleyway than this frightening Freddy.
I have a Freddy glove signed by Robert and... Oh, lucky you.
At least then you could possibly sell the glove and have a fighting chance, but with this bad boy, you'd be totally boned.
The aforementioned finger knives and maniacal glint in his eyes give the impression that anyone who dares to hit that start button is in for one dark ride.
You better believe it, bitch. This isn't some namby-pamby twirling teacups trip. This is a screaming demon tower of terror.
Fucking smoke! Bitch!
All right!
Imagine, like, Freddy Krueger, but he's played by Ethan Ralph. Welcome to prime time, bish. Come here, bish. I'm gonna fucking... Picture, like, this fat fuck with his gunt sticking out of the fucking sweater. Welcome to prime time, bish. Fuck you, bish. Arrest him. Arrest him.
All right. You better strap in, everybody, because here
That's what I've heard, is he is a troon. He's a troon.
we go.
Start puts the player on the iconic Elm Street. The tank top wearing teen who serves as our avatar encounters.
Look at that fucking Guido motherfucker. That guy looks like a tough guy from the Jersey Shore. Hey, yo, look at this motherfucker right here, these fucking rats. Let me punch him in the fucking face. Oh! Fucking Dago Wop motherfucker.
There's rats, bats, and monsters. Or as the manual prefers to call them, Night Prowler, Deathwing, and the Shambler. All of those would make excellent band names. I'm just saying.
Why the fuck are there Frankenstein zombies in Elm Street? Keep in mind, stinking rat. Stinking rat. Keep in mind, they're not dreaming yet. There's actually like a dream awakes, like day-night cycle in this game. You're awake, and there are fucking Frankenstein monsters just fucking shambling
While
at
these
you.
enemies have very little, if anything, to do with the films, they serve their purpose of building up to the main event, much like the birds and zombies did in Friday the 13th. It's all about proper pacing, people. And after all, there's a quest that has to be undertaken before the big baddie himself takes the center stage. That mission...
You know Heather Langenkamp? She gets her money. She sells fucking like trading cards based off surfers. That's how she makes her money. And you know what? Good for her. She gets a paycheck. That woman deserves it.
according to the manual, is to collect all of the deceased Springwood slasher's bones and hurl them into the high school furnace in the hopes of purging the killer's stranglehold on the children's dreams.
Also, yes, this was Johnny Depp's first movie, and Nicolas Cage, who was friends with Johnny Depp, was like, hey, Wes Craven is making a movie. You should probably star in it. It's gonna blow your ass off. Yeah.
In order to...
That fucking story, I choose to believe that's real. I heard it on Twitter. It may be real, it may be not, but yeah, Johnny Depp was struggling. He didn't have like a fucking like penny to his name. And Nicolas Cage was like, you should star in A Nightmare on Elm Street. It's by Wes Craven, the guy who did Last House on the Left. It's gonna blow your mind!
To collect the bones, the teenager has to enter one of the doors. This may seem confusing at first, and there is a degree of randomness to it.
Fucking Nick Cage is
mostly
great.
Set from playthrough to playthrough. To put it simply, the order of the first 30 stages often changes from session to session.
I'll take your
but the remaining
face
4
off!
always stays the same. I'm not entirely sure why the beginning segment is randomized and the conclusion...
I don't know why my Nick Cage sounds like fucking Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves! John Wick! It's gonna blow your mind! Either great hit or a fucking joke. Yeah.
Fixed, but
I will say, Wicker Man is one of the funniest fucking movies I've ever seen. I laughed so hard. I love that movie.
I'm assuming that it has to do with the fact that the...
How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned?
Iconic settings within the series. To access the appropriate structure, hold up on the D-pad. A rectangular iris effect is used to transition to the interior of the structure, and it's now bone collecting time. Once inside...
Freddy's got a lot of fucking bones. And they all look the same. The cartoon dog bones.
The objective is simple. Underneath the title logo is a 2-digit number. That's the amount of bones that have to be collected in the area before the entrance to the next is
Freddy,
open.
why you got so many
This
bones?
task is harder than it seems.
Bone
because the
zone.
bones are very plain looking and often blend into the background. There were countless times that I accidentally walked by a bone because it was resting on a similar colored surface.
Oh, I can see that from space!
Is to keep an extra careful watch out for bone-shaped objects and hope that the counter is emptied by the time the end is reached. After that counter reaches
Wicker Man, and there is Con Air or Lord of War. Con Air is pretty good, too.
0, a noise goes off and the entryway to the next section is now open.
That's what pissed me off. He was in a Left Behind movie. Left Behind is a Christian book series about, like, the end of days, when the rapture, when God takes all the good people to heaven and leaves all the shitty people on earth. He was in a Left Behind movie, and he was so fucking boring. That's when you want, like, wild fucking Nick Cage. I want that. Fuck.
This may sound simple enough, but there are tons of...
Kirk Cameron's Left Behind movie was fucking better than Nick Cage's. God, that movie sucked.
...of flying insects and spiders waiting to ensure the poor children of Elm Street are doomed to an eternity of disturbing dreams. In the real-world portion...
Nick Cage is a playable character in Dead by Daylight, but it's just Nick Cage. It's literally just Nick Cage as himself. Fucking A.
...game begins, the tough teenager has only his fists and wits to pummel these pesky nuisances. The punches have an incredibly minuscule range, and it's easy to take on damage and get killed when going in for the attack.
Oh, fucking bullshit.
That all changes when sleep deprivation closes in. As the player progresses through the stage, the Z meter...
Nick Cage, Dracula, LJN style game. I'd fucking play that shit.
...or sleep meter, as the manual calls it, gradually dwindles down. This occurs at a steady rate no matter what speed the tasks are accomplished in. However, standing idle will make the meter decrease much faster than normal, so try to stay on the move. When the last red bar empties from the meter, the screen is enveloped in a swirling effect, signifying the character falling asleep and entering the dream world.
Honestly, the dream world's better. You have access to superpowers. You can be a ninja, still in a dream, still in a dream sleep meter. That's good. You have access to superpowers. You can be an acrobat that throws javelins, a ninja, a wizard. Yeah, you have to fight Freddy randomly, but he's so fucking easy. It's actually pathetic.
The dream world is...
It's better to be asleep.
Kruger's playground. And all the previously encountered enemies transform into ghastly reflections of their warped creator's mind. For the most part.
Silent Hill transitions came from this game. Honestly, I believe that. A Jew that throws yarmulkes. He throws fucking potato pancakes with sour cream. Or applesauce.
The dream world takes everything up to a whole new level. The difficulty increases and a lot of the enemies take more hits to destroy. However, this mode has its fair share of benefits as well. Let's take a closer look at the surroundings in the waking world. See that square item next to the pillar? Ooh. That's one of the power-ups used to access the dream world.
I am a wizard. A necromancer? That's a motherfucking wizard. You are not a necromancer. You are not raising the dead. You're a fucking wizard.
The Dream Warriors, of course, are a reference to the third and my personal favorite entry of the
That's a rad movie.
Franchise. The pugilistic protagonist can take on 3 new forms in this environment. The Acrobat, the Necromancer, and the Shadow
Me in the middle.
Warrior, each of which having unique traits.
It says Negromancer.
Obviously, these aren't the same powers as seen in the source material, but they're...
Not really. The Acrobat was Kirsten's powers. The Wizard, or Necromancer, was the kid in the wheelchair. I don't know about the Wizard, though. That's a new one. But yeah, Kirsten had, like, she was like an acrobat. She can, like, do flips and shit. And the kid in the wheelchair, he was a wizard. There's a whole dream sequence where he's, like, throwing magic beams at Freddy. Freddy's like, I don't believe in fairy tales, bitch. And he stabs him in the gut. Did you know, I read this somewhere, and there was supposed to be a sequence in Nightmare on Elm Street 3 where there was a fucking whole... Oh, alright, have a good night, Beeb. Have a good time at work. There was a whole ass sequence in Nightmare 3 where Freddy was supposed to be a fucking transformer. There was supposed to be a giant robot fight in Nightmare 3. Why the fuck did they not put that in there? That movie came out around the same time Transformers did, the movie.
There are similarities. The Acrobat and Shadow Warrior could kind of be compared to Kristen's abilities, and the Necromancer is obviously modeled after Will. Poor Will. Finally gets a chance to be the powerful wizard master he'd always aspired to, and gets gutted soon after. Will, as one spectacle's wearer to another, I salute thee.
Rip in peace, motherfucker. I'm gonna skip some of this because this is all movie footage.
Getting back on topic, the Acrobat moves quicker, flings javelins, and somersaults.
Rip Joey? Is that me? There was a character in Work Faster. There's a character in Nightmare on Elm Street 3 named Joey, and he gets lured away by a nurse with big tits. And you actually get to see her tits, and they are very nice, by the way. And she ends up, like, using her tongue to fucking lash him to the bed. And Freddy just keeps him hostage. Freddy, just kill him. Feeling tongue-tied, bitch?
Necromancer has a spell attack whose
I don't know why I'm keeping you alive.
The trio. He can also float through the air at a higher elevation than the rest of the fighters, and this comes in really handy near the conclusion. Lastly, the Shadow Warrior is the most well-rounded of the bunch. Pressing B will shoot out his shurikens, but his most deadly technique is the flying kick, performed simply by pressing A. This is the best way to clear through the tricky spots with aerial assailants.
They brought back Kincaid and Joey in part 4 for like 5 minutes. Yeah, they get killed off in like 5 seconds. That's one of the few horror movies where the black guy actually did die first. And they didn't have to do that. They could have just had Joey's death before Kincaid's. Why the fuck even have them in there?
As well as being the most useful against the majority of the bosses. But more on that later.
And fuck, how Freddy comes back in part 4 is fucking stupid. A dog pisses on his grave and Freddy comes back. What the fuck was that? I like part 4, but holy fuck, that is retarded.
Dream Warriors can be switched at will by pressing select in the dream world. These superior sleep soldiers really even out the playing field between the forces of good and evil, but don't get too careless. Waiting to rain on the pumped-up players' parade are the many boomboxes that show up every now and then.
That's a ghetto blaster.
Instantly revert back to the baseline form by waking the team from their not-so-peaceful slumber. The boomboxes replace...
Rennie Harlan was a homeless during a majority of the movie's production. Really?
Cups of coffee found in the real-world setting, which are used to refill the sleep meter, preventing the dream world shift.
I give Rare props for including this play mechanic, since the movies regularly depicted the troubled teens drinking coffee or listening to loud music to stay awake. However, since this title
Patricia Arquette was really cute in Dream Warrior. Fuck.
really shines when the dream world is there.
I could see why all the boys she was working with fell in love with her. Robert Englund called it the most lovesick cast he's ever seen. It's really funny. A zoomer dabs and does a TikTok to bring him back. Also, Screaming Mad George did the effects in Dream Warriors and Dream Master. Wow. I could actually picture like some TikTok zoomer. You remember, what was it, the Charlie Challenge, I think? Where they tried to bring back a Mexican ghost or some bullshit with pencils?
Something the kids in the film
I can picture that.
Purpose. It's almost as if the developers are penalizing the player for wanting to have a little fun.
Buzzkill aside, whether in the real or dream world, the objective and setup always remain the same. Collect the bones, go on to the next segment. Collect the next set of bones.
Ken Sagoni said once that during filming of Dream Warriors, one of the producers ran up to the top of the stage and shouted, "This shit needs to stop!"
And repeat until it's time to face the various forms of Freddy Krueger himself. Every once in a while, even before collecting all the bones, Krueger will make an appearance in the traditional sweater and fedora look that he's known for. This is signified by the...
They actually released an action figure of Freddy like that, and Jason, based off their NES versions. The Jason one's really cool because he's all purple, and his mask is like fucking glow in the dark. And the Freddy one is basically all red. It's really cool, and I really want to fucking buy them.
The onset of the trademark nursery rhyme / jingle from the...
Walking back and forth, sweeping at the air like he's blind. Where are you, bitch? Come at me! Get close to me so I can touch you. I have cataracts, bitch.
Movies. Unless the bone collecting duty is completed before the jingle finishes, the Freddy's coming message flashes on the
Freddy's coming, trademark. That is so cheesy, it's fucking awesome.
Screen, and Krueger will start leaping around and slashing in the same predictable pattern. It's very easy to dispatch the charred child killer in this form.
This game this game looks better than the game they showed in Freddy's Dead. Be like me, gets beat with a tennis racket.
Just mash the attack button and
Breckenmeyer's jumping around my house and punching holes in the wall. For a Power Rangers clone with Freddy making monsters of the week. That would be awesome. You could actually, holy shit, there is a Sentai that goes in the dreams, Akiba Ranger. Now you're playing with power. Freddy had a power glove. I bought this off of eBay, bitch.
A few hits will send him back where he came from, and the scene will instantly shift back to the previous location. This is more of a nuisance than anything, especially since the character is returned unguarded in the blink of an eye without any warning that baddies are waiting to harm them. As for the regular boss battles, most of them are...
Crossover Dream Warriors and Power Rangers comic book. Was there really? I know there was Evil Dead, Ash versus Freddy versus Jason. There were two of them, which were really good, and I really wish we got that movie. Yes, look it up. I'll have to look that up, actually. I know there was Power Rangers versus Godzilla, which is pretty fucking cool.
Very basic, starting with just the glove attached to a chain, and evolving along the way into the head on a chain, a bouncing free-roaming glove, a skelebat, a bedsheet ghost, and a bouncing glove, bouncing head combo battle. My advice for the majority of these fights is to go with the Shadow Warrior. His jump kick is an essential tool in taking down the bouncing baddies, and the height of the kick is superbly responsive to how hard the button is pressed. In other words, don't enter the boss battles without drifting into Slumberland first. If Tank Top Tommy faces the future...
Yeah, how the fuck is Freddy gonna do that in the real world? In the real... Like, in Nightmare on Elm Street, when Nancy drags Freddy into the real world, he's a regular-ass person with a fucking knife on his hand.
Here's some fiends.
Freddy's not a bouncing glove.
It'd be like Toad getting in a scuffle with the Hulk. Definitely not a pretty sight. After the boss is defeated, a key appears and a much-needed extra life is added to the stock. After this, go back to step 1, but with a different building, and repeat the same steps as before. Find the right building, get all the bones, take out the boss, next building, bones, boss, etc., etc. Each new section gets harder than the preceding one, but the overall objective always remains the same. The final stage at the high school is the hardest of the bunch.
Elm Street High? It was Springwood. Elm Street was a neighborhood in Springwood. What the fuck? It's not Elm Street High, you fucking jackanape.
And for good reason. The stages up to this point feel like practice to sharpen one's skills and get used to the abilities of the ally forms. Everything that was learned up to now is put to the test here in one long endurance run. There are tricky jumps and obstacles aplenty. However, there's no time limit, so it's best to take things slow. With all the extra pitfalls, it's easier than ever to lose lives, so make sure that your supply of lives and continues, 5 and 3 at the start respectively, is as filled as they can be for the troubles ahead. Managing to collect the last bones in one piece and dropping down to the boiler room leads to the big show, where one gets a strong sense of deja vu. No, I'm not talking about the Kemco Classic, but the return of the bosses from the earlier buildings. The Band of Misfits tactics have remained unchanged since the initial meetup, so dish out a warm helping of javelin attacks and Shadow Warrior kicks all around. Each victory is one step closer
More
to
like
the
Big
first
Slow, am I right?
showdown.
Yeah. Which, honestly, is really easy.
The killer's
It's just
final
Freddy.
form is... The exact same one as we've seen countless times before. Seriously, this is it. It's no harder than the regular Freddy's coming battles. Just keep blasting him with the Necromancer spell, avoiding his claw slashes until he leaps off screen. That's it. No explosions,
Bye,
no groans of pain.
Bye, Felicia.
Business as usual.
I'm out of here.
With the last blow dealt,
I need to take a fucking nap,
the pile
bitch.
of bones into the fire and puts Kruger to bed for good.
So the evil is purged. Fire purifies all. The bones are ashes, soon to be dust. Freddy, trademark, is dead. And the nightmare is ended. Freddy's dead. And they play that fucking song. Oh, that fucking ending blows. Freddy, trademark. Or has it.
Or not.
Fuck
That's
you.
right, you balding SOB. I can never be stopped. They thought they had me in 91, but they were wrong. Dead wrong.
Freddy's Dead came out in 91? That's why it had the fucking Power Glove joke. Oh my god.
Just like
I honestly could have sworn that movie came out in like 94 or 95. Fuck me.
you'll be in.
Fine! I get the point. The joke's dead. Anyway, what I meant to say was that A Nightmare on Elm Street gets a bad rap.
New Nightmare was 94? Wow.
It has a number of flaws, but they don't hinder it from being a rewarding experience.
Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street for the NES is a pretty decent game. Good music, good graphics, the gameplay's alright, it's decent. Check it out. It's pretty good.
I've used this phrase to describe a number of the titles that I've reviewed, but it applies here as well. A Nightmare on Elm Street is absolutely frustrating, but also a ton of fun. Believe me, I spent 4 nights and countless attempts trying to vanquish Freddy, and the air was pretty blue from all the curses I was dropping after I died and died and died again. Anyone looking to add another challenging retro platformer to their collection need look no further than right here. It actually took me longer
Yo,
to
why are
beat
there fucking sperms coming out of the ground?
this than Super C. No joke. The natural punch attack is laughable, the flying foes are an unrelenting annoyance, and the hero can get combo killed faster than Wally West traversing the Great Wall of China after downing a 2-liter bottle of Jolt Cola. Regardless, I love this game.
Joe Colo is pretty damn good.
And it's easily near the top of my favorite LJN releases.
Do they still make Joe Cola? I would buy that.
The Dream Warrior forms are a nice touch that stays true to the roots of the series. The controls are super tight, especially in regards to the Shadow Warrior's kick, and the soundtrack by David Wise hits all the right notes. Nightmare on Elm Street is a very good game, and it's the perfect complement to Friday the 13th. Unfortunately, this is one of the pricier entries in the LJN catalog on the
Yes, I
NES,
think.
but I would
Nice!
still recommend it for fans of the franchise. And
But I don't really know for sure.
horror in general.
I used to drink Vault a lot. Vault was basically a 2000s version of Surge. I think it was basically the same soda with the new name. It was so good. I used to drink that stuff constantly. Oh my god. That was like my favorite soda.
General. But wait, there's more. A Nightmare on Elm Street is not only one of the best LJN releases with a great single-player mode, but it was one of the few titles
4-player.
in the NES library to utilize the forge score and satellite accessories to allow up to 4-player simultaneous co-op action. This was almost unheard of at the time, especially on home consoles, where players usually had to take turns in completing an adventure. Now, I had to juggle the 4 controllers myself to get this footage, but if you have 3 other local retro gaming buddies, this must bring the experience up to a whole new level. A Nightmare on Elm Street is one of my favorite franchises, and this NES cart is worthy of bearing its likeness. 4 plastic knives out of 4.
It's a good game. Yeah, it's probably one of LJN's best games, especially for the NES. I like the music, I like the graphics, like the gameplay.
I wasn't sure if I was ever going to do another.
Alright, that's enough for that. What do we have left for this guy? We did Friday the 13th. We did Nightmare on Elm Street. We did fucking Spider-Man. Oh, Back to the Future. I need to take... Actually, did he do another... He had to play co-op alone. Well, he is a troon. Troons don't have a lot of friends. Oh, I thought I had his bag. I guess... I gotta fucking pee again. Small but ladder Joey. So I'm gonna go pee, and we're gonna play his Back to the Future video. Let me play, fuck it. NES. Let me play the music for this game. Alright. Doot doot. Yes, doot doot. Alright, this is a LJN Defender's Back to the Future video, which Back to the Future for the NES is a mixed bag. I actually like the gameplay where you're just running up the street throwing bowling balls at people. That's pretty fun. It plays like a space shooter. Like, imagine like Gradius or Galaga. But the mini games, like the fucking diner and shit, those are fucking rancid ass.
When you think of the 8-bit era of gaming, industry giants like Nintendo, Capcom, and Konami, along with lesser-known, yet quality publishers and developers, Sunsoft, Technos, and Big Tokai spring to mind, accompanied by franchises such as Castlevania, Mega Man, and Double Dragon. In the
Good
wake
shit.
of the retro revival of the late 2000s,
Neckbeard phase.
these treasured staples of youth have ascended in status to an almost canonical level.
Double Dragon 1's good shit.
On the other end of the spectrum, the crappy games of our childhood, and those who made them, have now become vilified and had a spot reserved for them in the lowest rungs of gaming hell, thanks mostly in part to the angry video game nerd.
Cow, a
One
fucking
company
piece
that
of
has
dog
received
shit.
the brunt of his rage more than any other is the toy manufacturer LJN. The nerd's hatred of LJN has now become a running theme
I should have did this episode first.
throughout
Fuck.
his videos, and with each getting millions of views by people of all ages across the globe, the Rainbow-identified corporation has been made out to be as vile as Hitler, in some cases blindly proclaimed
LJN, very much like Adolf Hitler, was very misunderstood.
by those who have never actually played these titles. As for myself, I'm a huge fan of James. I wouldn't be doing this.
Same, or I used to be. There was a period of time, based, where James Rolfe would probably, I consider him my favorite YouTuber. Nowadays, not so much, but back then, yeah.
Right now, if it wasn't for him. I've seen all of those videos tons of
Oh,
times.
I have some of those. I have the first 3 of his old DVDs. I have his Blu-ray set, which is basically the first 5, the first, like, fucking years of his life. I have his video game. I have a lot of angry video game nerd stuff. I was a big fan of James.
And I go back to them to this day. But seeing Wolverine and Terminator 2 after all these years had a different...
Okay, Wolverine was a pretty decent game. It looked good, it played good, the sound was good. You said was. I see. Fucking Terminator 2 for the NES is fucking ass. The only good Terminator 2 game was the arcade game. Holy fuck.
Effect on me than ever.
Yeah, I used to be a big, like, I still watch the Angry Video Game Nerd. I still get excited for Monster Madness, but, like, I'm just not a big a fan of Angry Video Game Nerd as I used to be. His videos aren't as good as they used to be. Like, the first 100 episodes are fucking internet kino, and Board James is good. And the magic is gone. Forced and manufactured. Hey, Polywolf.
It made me want to play them again. I owned Wolverine and rented T2 as a kid, and I liked them back then. I had similar experiences with Jaws and X.
Fun fact, when my mom was pregnant with me, she used to play Jaws for the NES a lot. And I don't know what that's supposed to symbolize, but yeah, she used to, like, love playing Jaws for the NES when she was pregnant with me. Jaws for the NES is weird. It's basically an action RPG, but it has a very small world. You basically, like, go from one island to the other, and while you do, you level grind. Also, X-Men for the NES is fucking shit. That game is awful.
X-Men.
Ah, hell! Blech.
Which is across for the NES, Genesis, etc. And the first carts that I purchased when I bought my modded top loader weren't the Marios, Metroid, or other masterpieces, but Bart versus the Space Mutants, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Dick Tracy, and other dud.
Alright, watching Let's Plays even in the womb. I never played Bart versus the Space Mutants for the NES. He's Cancer Wolverine. I had Bart versus the Space Mutants for the fucking Sega Genesis. That game is fucking convoluted and ass. Ninja Turtles is pretty good, actually. Ninja Turtles for the NES is really hard, but other than that, it's a pretty good game. And honestly, I kind of like it better than the adaptation of Ninja Turtles 2. Or I kind of like Ninja Turtles 1 for the NES better than Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game. Not the actual arcade game, but the NES version. Dick Tracy is a fucking hard game, but it's one of my favorite AVGN episodes. That game is fucking brutal. That game is almost impossible.
Admittedly, the fact that they were dirt cheap was part of the reason, but it was mainly because I wanted to replay those stinkers featured on the AVGN. Fast forward to the present, and I own pretty much every game released for the NES, and have played all of those horrible abominations, and my viewpoint hasn't...
Deadly Towers is fucking clunky. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is not a good game. James Rolfe was right about it. That game is fucking bad.
Changed. I try to find the best and even the worst things, and that's just what I'm gonna do.
Cliffhanger?
In spite of all their flaws, I enjoy most of the LJN library, so I've taken the unenviable task upon myself to don the moniker of the LJN
Like the towers in the Pajit game Empty Hero stream. Matt Ezro, which I don't think he calls himself that
Sticking
anymore.
up for LJN. This is gonna be tough. So what better way to start off than with perhaps the most despised LJN release based on a licensed title, Back to the Future.
Again, that game's not bad for the most part. The scenes where you're running up the street as Marty are actually pretty fun. It plays like a shmup game, actually. Like, imagine, like, what's a good top-down shmup game? I'm not going to say Ikaruga, but, like, something like Gradius or something, or Raiden. It plays like that. Like, it's a top-down, forward, shoot-'em-up game, but with Marty McFly. The music is, it's just a sped-up version of Power of Love. Contra Adventure. But the minigame levels suck dick, except for the DeLorean one. The level where you're driving in the DeLorean. Matt, his name is Matt!
Before I get into the thick of things, I want to address what I believe to be a widespread misconception. LJN never developed a single title. They were only a publisher. For example,
they were a toy company, actually. LJN made a bunch of really cool toys. Actually, several from my childhood. Those really rad plastic wrestling figures, like the ones where they were basically just hunks of rubber, and you couldn't move their arms. But, like, I had a bunch of them. I had Hulk Hogan, I had the Ultimate Warrior, and you just smash them together. One of the first toys I had as a kid was a Gremlins toy. It was Gizmo from Gremlins. And you'd, like, shake him, and he'd make a squeaky noise. That was, like, my, like, little teddy bear as a kid. When I was, like, 3 or 4 years old. That was really cool. They made a lot of really cool toys. Video games, though, they never actually developed any of the games. They would license their properties out to other developers. Kinnikuman figures, yes, they did. I think they did, yeah. Kinnikuman figures for WWF. Did they really? Wow.
Back to the Future was developed by Beam Software, who was also responsible for Star Wars, Smash TV, and Fisher Price I Can Remember. LJN may have still put out a subpar product, but keep in mind that they don't deserve all of the blame, and a few of the guilty by association designers are beyond mind-blowing, but I'll get to that in a future installment. Back to the Future. The Michael J. Fox...
Yeah, Atlas developed games for LJN, Rareware developed games for LJN. The people that developed Bill and Ted for the NES was named Rocket Science, and I do not know any other games other than Bill and Ted. Bill and Ted might be the worst LJN game. That game is fucking awful.
Starring Jim.
I have that game.
Was released in 1985. This piece of pyrite was released in 1989, the same year that production on the sequels took place. In this, play as Marty, collecting clocks, avoiding hula hoop.
Why is Marty wearing black? All they had to do was just change that black to a red. They didn't even watch the fucking movie.
Girls and bees, yada, yada, yada. It's been
Great Scott, what were they thinking?
This has very little to do with the plot of the movie. That is true, but very few video games based on film strictly adhere to the source material. And some of the changes made were for the better. Most memorably, Sly snowboarding on a dead guy in Cliffhanger, and Arnold in hot pink pants riding a scorpion in Predator. Think of them as the cherry on the
that Predator game was fucking awful, though.
Besides,
that game was terrible.
There are levels involving key scenes at the school and the dance, and the DeLorean makes an appearance at the conclusion, but I don't have any footage of that to show, for a reason I'll get to shortly. But for now, let's get back to the main level setup. Blackfist Marty, can't stop. Always
Soy boil a mile away, just looking in their eyes. They all have the same lack of strength. Yeah.
I have minimal thought.
There's also his balding. The fact that he's a white, bearded, bald guy with glasses also gives that away. This dude looks like the prototypical male feminist that would constantly complain every time he sees an anime girl with big boobs.
With these sections.
And then you find out he was
man.
sexting minors.
The controls are tight. B button for jumping aside. It may be monotonous, but no more so than
How much Reddit gold he has.
Paperboy is actually a good comparison in that the main characters involved are in constant forward momentum.
Ouchies.
Get from point A to point B.
Ouchies. It's like one clean chunk.
Sure, Back to the Future is a little cheaper than the Atari Arcade Classic, but it just adds to the challenge. An extra challenge is always a welcome addition. How can you hate a game that lets you toss bowling balls while riding a skateboard? It could be said that Back to the Future paved the way for the extreme 90s.
I too heard about Yandere Dev. Yes! Although, honestly, who didn't see that guy coming out as a fucking once?
Nobody's going to, but a case could be made for it. Anyway, if there's any aspect of the stage that I'd have to claim as a negative, it would probably have to be the music.
The music in Back to the Future was supposed to be Power of Love, but they sped the song up because they couldn't get the rights to it.
That's going to be difficult to defend. The nerd claimed he'd rather have a buffalo defecate in his ear than listen to this track again. But
no, he said, I'd rather have a buffalo take a diarrhea dump in my ear to subject this to this shit. What were they thinking? I'd rather slurp crap out of a fucking skunk's asshole than play this bullshit. Those fucking laughing, joking numbnuts. Oh boy, but I'm not fucking laughing anymore.
I can tolerate it to an extent. The biggest problem with the soundtrack is that it's not a soundtrack, but one song repeating over and over, looping from now until the end of eternity.
You'd rather slurp Soylent day and night than have time for his family. What the fuck were they thinking with this bullshit?
There is a very simple solution to this musical malady. Mute the TV and grab your audio device of choice and make your favorite band the soundtrack.
Just play fucking Huey Lewis in the News. Bottom of the totem pole. The ball's on the dick. Let's
Or do what I do and catch up on the week's podcast. You could even replace the score with superior chiptunes. Imagine.
Or just play Huey Lewis in the News. Just listen to The Power of Love. That's a good song, actually. Don't need money. Don't need fame. Don't need no credit card to ride this chain.
Bearing through the oral assault will lead to my biggest hurdle, Lou's Cafe, where Marty has to hurl milkshakes at...
Yeah, I remember playing this game when I was very little, and I could never get past Lou's Cafe. Oh, fuck this level.
50 or more of the approaching bullies in order to continue on with his mission. I appreciate the idea of this level, but I wish it had been executed better. Marty has to be moved up and down behind...
Lost opportunity to play, in fact, just play another game. I actually have the 4 CD, nice. Blur was a great band. The members formed Gorillaz.
In order to line up a shot to send Biff and his cronies flying. This sounds simple.
I bought it on Impulse.
Couldn't be truer.
That's some of my best purchases are on Impulses.
It's hard to determine if Marty's malts are good or not. If only it had been a first-person perspective, that would make it so much easier. Instead, I spent 2 hours trying to get past this, with each failure resulting in having to go back to the preceding street scene for another stab at Lou's, only to lose time and again. This I cannot and will not defend. Everything James or any other reviewer has said about this stage is true. It is very unforgiving and made even more tedious by having to repeat a level that's already been beaten.
This game sucks shit. What the fuck were they thinking?
That's about all I can say about Back to the Future, since that's as far as I've gotten to date. Most of the levels are of the paperboy walking variety, and being that they don't change up that much, I feel I've played most of the game. Still, I'm determined to complete it someday, so that shows what I think about this much maligned LJN tie-in title. It's not good, but I don't think it's bad. In fact, a few months ago, I bought a Back to the Future t-shirt at my local mall.
Nice.
And the first thing I thought of when I saw it wasn't Christopher Lloyd or Robert Zemeckis.
Marty!
But this NES bowel movement. I dig it. And I bet even after I beat it someday, I'll still come back to it now and again. It may have very little to do with the movies, but the concept certainly is creative. Skateboard bowling while fending off bee stings.
Yeah, that part of the game is really fun.
Who thinks of these things?
It's just the other parts of the game that's ass. Yeah, that part of the game is really
there
fun.
We have it. LJN Defender Episode 1 in the books. I hope you liked it. I'm interested to see what your reactions will be. I've always wanted to do something involving LJN, but I didn't want to do a full-on review, so this is the best outlet. The purpose of this series isn't to convince you that...
Alright, is he done?
This is just... Whether I defend all of the LJN... Not like... this stuff...
Alright, he's done. Alright, we got... What do we got here? I think I have his wrestling videos, too. Which, cool. Yeah, WWF. Fucking A. Wrestling.
My name is...
I used to have the, when I had a Sega Genesis, I had WWF Raw for it, which is really fun. And when I had a Super Nintendo, I had WWF Royal Rumble, which is really good.
And I review retro games.
Yeah.
My name is Matt, and I review retro games. Like anyone who's into gaming on YouTube, I'm a huge fan of the Angry Video Game Nerd, and he's one of my biggest influences. But unlike a number of his audience, I enjoy most of those turds he rips apart, and that's why I now don the moniker of the
Wildlife Wrestling Federation. WWF Kurt WrestleMania.
LJN Defender!
Oh yeah, there was a big lawsuit. That's why WWF is now called WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment, is because the World Wildlife Federation basically sued them. Those copycats you mentioned, the AVGN never last long. Yeah, well, this guy's a troon, so... But I played this game a lot. This game, WWF Raw, and what was it? WrestleMania, the arcade game, were the ones I played a lot. WrestleMania, the arcade game, is the best. That game is fucking awesome. But these are pretty good.
Welcome to the LJN Defender Championship Federation League free preview event. Mad Ezro here in the 16-bit Rainbow Arena to bring you the best in wrestling entertainment. We've got a great show planned for you tonight, representing the golden age of early 90s WWF. Without further delay, let's head ringside for the first match.
WrestleMania, released... Oh wow, that was 92?
Super WrestleMania came out in February
I had that
1992 and was
younger PC builder now. Kind of looks like H-Bomber guy. Yeah, a little, yeah.
As with the rest of the titles by Sculptured Software.
But yeah, I had that one.
Starting off with a very nice animated LJN logo. Followed shortly after with the Hulkster and iconic shirt-ripping pose on the title screen, Super WrestleMania wastes no time in getting the player pumped up for the ruckus ahead. Being that this is the first game in the franchise during the 4th generation, it has the least options of the 3, with the choice of one-on-one, tag team, or Survivor Series. It also has the fewest difficulty settings, with just easy, medium, and hard, and the smallest roster. The roster consists of the expected superstars of the era, with a few oddball...
Fucking Macho Man, The Undertaker, Hulk Hogan, Jake the Snake Roberts, who I saw that Joe Rogan episode he was on. That was really good. And I'm sorry that happened to you in your childhood, Jake. You deserve better.
Choices thrown in. The lineup is...
LJN was THQ Lite, yeah. But when THQ made a bad game on the NES, they published a bad game. Where's Waldo? Wayne's World, fucking Rocky and Bullwinkle. Those are worse than the worst of LJN. Fuck.
Macho Man Randy Savage, Undertaker, Jake the Snake Roberts, Hulk Hogan, Hawk, Earthquake, Animal, Typhoon, Ted DiBiase, and Sid Justin.
That's not a bad team. Sucks that Animal died. Animal got himself cleaned up and then he just died of a heart attack moving furniture one day. That fucking sucks. Ted DiBiase was a fucking great heel, and The Undertaker, that man's a legend. And you can't forget the Macho Man, yeah!
This was every early 90s WWF fan's dream in a cartridge.
Died too soon, fucking heart problems, trillionaire Ted.
And they all sound glorious on the SNES sound chip.
Fucking Macho Man, oh yeah! Dig it! The Undertaker. That man's a fucking legend. He was wrestling from like the fucking early 90s all the way up to the fucking like 2010s. That's a long career.
Once the match is set up, Mean Gene introduces the athletes, providing added authenticity and making the player feel like they're participating in an
Let me tell you something, Mean Gene Okerlund.
Graphically, all things considered, Super WrestleMania
is
fantastic. Right. The sprites accurately depict the wrestlers they're representing, and the arena and its audience are simple yet appropriate. They even included Bobby the Brain Heenan as the commentator in the background. It's little touches like that which show sculpture.
Yo, Bobby the Brain Heenan!
And I applaud them.
Smartest man in wrestling. Early 90s debate at Undertaker of Canadian Souls.
Said, this initial offering isn't as smooth as its descendants, and the animation can get downright
almost
choppy.
No one showed up. Oh, that's fucking awful. Mean Gene Okerlund deserved better. That man was great.
But it's more than made up for with the...
Let me tell you something, Mean Gene.
Clotheslines, headbutts, body slams, all present in Super WrestleMania. The controls are fairly straightforward and by and large remain consistent throughout this multi-review. Y runs, A kicks, and B punches. X initiates a grapple, and this is where the majority of the traditional moves are performed. In order to win the grapple, press any of the 4 main buttons repeatedly until one of the signature moves is activated. The button that is mashed will determine which move is accomplished. For example, mashing Y will result in an Irish whip, and pressing X repeatedly will end in a suplex. Track and field
it's a suplex, actually.
WrestleMania has
fucker.
For others, the constant barrage will prove to be quite fatiguing on one's digits, so it's best to build up strength by starting out on a lower...
Yeah, that's actually really hurtful for the fingers. That's one of the only things I don't like about the LJN, like, 4th generation wrestling games. You will not defeat me, Bret the Hitman Hart, best Canadian there ever was, ever will, and ever will be. And that's the bottom line, because the Stone Cold says so. The best there ever is, ever will be, and ever was.
The functions switch when the situation changes. When the opponent is on the mat, X will begin a pin, A stomps, B leg drops, etc. Not to mention ascending and leaping from the turnbuckles, which involves pressing the D-pad in the appropriate direction, and A, B, X, or Y.
A lot of assholes like Hulk Hogan did tribute VA videos shilling for themselves.
Bring the hammer down on the helpless prey. As for the different play modes, they're pretty self-explanatory.
Why couldn't it have been Bret, not Hogan? Holy
fuck! The moveset is nearly identical to that of the one-on-one mode, except
like Bret the Hitman Hart?
The other competitor will tag them in. This can obviously be done at any time, but it's best to wait until the life bar in the first partner is almost extinguished. If the opponent attempts a pin, the idle NPCs will come into the ring in order to stop the countdown.
No!
At this point, the computer becomes playable, which is pretty cool, but getting carried away can easily result in a loss of the match. The Survivor Series mode, much like its namesake pay-per-view event, features
after he broke Austin's neck with the manlet-legged tombstone pile driver.
It's really no different from the regular tag team mode, except that all of the partners have to be pinned out, and the select button is used to switch between who is waiting in the wings.
After, of course.
That about sums up all of what Super WrestleMania has to offer. It may be basic as a single-player experience, with limited replayability, but the co-op is a whole other story. Super WrestleMania is a solid early WWF title that provided the template for many future installments.
Oh, and you crazy son of a bitch.
Wow! What a contender! That will be a tough act to follow. But the Super WrestleMania story isn't over yet. With more on this interesting development, we now take you to our correspondent backstage. Thanks, Mad Matt. As I'm sure most of you are aware, the majority of licensed games...
The time you joined the Nation of Domination, you had an honorary N-word pass. We get the gold, sucker! Hulk Hogan, we come for you! I'm not going to finish that.
WrestleMania and its siblings belong.
That's a good...
and continue to be released on all the
I hate Bret Hart and anyone who tries to look like Bret Hart. Hear that, Razor Cuck? Oh, shit. Gaseous Razor Fist heard that. He's going to put you in the fucking sharpshooter.
I put the focus on the Super Nintendo versions as
the Montreal Screwjob.
The rainbow on the cart, whereas they were published by Acclaim and their Flying Edge subsidiary on the Genesis. However, in spite of the different logos on the boxes, the truth of the matter is that they were all put out by the same parent company. Much like Konami distributed games under the Ultra imprint, so too did Acclaim purchase LJN in 1990 in order to get past the
Sharpshooter! Gaseous is not giving in. He's pulling all strength towards the ropes. Being in the nation with the blackface makes over 1,000 cooler than his overrated brother.
And this continued into the 16-bit era. Now, with a few exceptions,
Acclaim published NES games at some point in the series.
Both consoles, with minor graphical and audio differences, were virtually identical. Surely the WWF titles would conform to the normal
You're a nation of Joey
right?
Nation. Hell yeah.
Wrong. There are some pretty big differences.
In the case of Super WrestleMania, the Genesis has a WWF Championship mode that is completely absent from the Super Nintendo. It basically functions as a story mode similar to those featured in Mortal Kombat. The aspiring athlete takes on the rest of the superstars in order to obtain the championship belt. If successful, all that is awarded is a single screen with the belt and wrestler proclaiming them the new champion, followed by credits. It's nothing special, but it does help flesh out the lack of single-player experience on the SNES. Another difference that I don't have specific footage of is that the Genesis supposedly incorporates signature special moves for each individual.
Rest in peace, Randy.
I found out about this after I
You're one of the good ones.
of the Genesis Super WrestleMania, so I can't show specific examples. The last difference I'm going to mention, and perhaps the most important of all, is the differences in the roster.
Erwin R. Shyster! Yo, Papa Shango! Sucks that Farouk and Godfather were deemed phased out by Vince, just like Ultimate Warrior and Macho Man. That sucks.
The roster's actually 8 wrestlers.
Erwin R. Shyster, Papa Shango!
The Genesis from the Super Nintendo are Macho Man, Hulk Hogan, and the $1 Million Man. Filling out the roster are
Randy
Papa
Savage,
Shango,
Boff,
Erwin R.
Stephanie
Shyster,
McMahon.
British Bulldog, Sean...
Fucking A, I wish I could fuck Stephanie McMahon. She was fucking hot.
Shawn Michaels, and the Ultimate
Yo!
Warrior!
Load the spaceship up at the rocket fuel. It's the only way. Ah! You can feel it. You can feel it, dude.
That's right. The Ultimate
Mother
Warrior. Anything with the Ultimate Warrior in it is automatically the coolest thing ever.
Hogan!
So the winner in this rivalry, as if there is ever any doubt, is the Genesis. Back to you, Mad Max. What an upset! Genesis
The
really
sacrifice.
does what Nintendo don't. The Ultimate Warrior single-handedly snuck in at the finish to take the belt. Nobody saw that coming. This is pro wrestling at its finest, lovely audience. Oh,
It looks like match number 2 is getting underway, but it has very big boots to fill.
Yokozuna and Razor Ramon. Oh, WWF Royal Rumble, released June 8th, 1993.
1993 saw the second installment in the LJN 16-bit trilogy, Royal Rumble, hit store shelves. It took everything that was great about its predecessor, but added to and improved upon it. Besides the standard one-on-one and tag team modes, the titular pay-per-view event is added, as well as a triple tag team option.
The numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you. Samoa Joe, we ought to call him Sloppy Joe. He's fat!
Turning modes offer more bang for the buck, with the inclusion of Brawl, where the referee is absent and anything goes, as well as Tournament, which is similar to the championship setting from the Genesis Super WrestleMania. Besides the omission of Hulk Hogan, the roster is much more focused on fan favorites this time. Carried over from Super WrestleMania are The Undertaker, Macho Man, and Ted DiBiase. New additions are Tatanka, Crush, The Narcissist / Lex Luger, Yokozuna, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Mr. Perfect, Ric Flair, and
oh shit! Ric fucking Flair! Woo!
Personal favorite, Razor Ramon.
That guy was fucking awful. Tanaka, Buffalo. Chicas.
Like I said, very fan.
Woo! Limousine riding, jet plane flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing. Woo! Son of a gun who kissed all the girls and made them cry. Flair is the GOAT, pound for pound. Flair is fucking awesome. That man was fucking great.
And friendly. Like with Super WrestleMania, all of the signature themes are featured, and they sound great.
Shawn Michaels.
Sadly missing from Royal Rumble are the pre-match introductions from Mean Gene, replaced with a stock
Do it,
image
Joey. Say it. I just did.
Though it does have plenty of Flair, who looks hopped up on goofballs and/or on a homicidal rampage.
Charlotte Flair is cute. I don't know that. Ric Flair has a daughter. I'm not.
Every man's nightmare, indeed. The overall presentation is the same as Super WrestleMania.
Let me look up Charlotte Flair.
Polish. The main controls and the grappling mechanic remain intact, only this time there's a bar that shows the progress, which is a nice addition. The easy, medium, hard setting is replaced with a 1 to 10 scale,
Woof.
but it seems no different than that of the
Jesus.
entry.
She looks like Tara Babcock if she was like an old busted woman.
Finishers, which are unique to each character, such as the
Sorry,
Razor's Edge.
sweetheart.
The finishers are fairly
She
easy
really
to
does
follow.
look like. She looks like Tara Babcock after plastic surgery. With your lack of kind of cute. Sorry. Stephanie McMahon is kind of cute. Alexa Bliss is kind of cute. Look up her debate photos. Alright. Yeah, she looks alright. Yeah, she looks. She's not bad looking. Oh my god. You know who she looks like? She looks like Jamie Lynn Spears. She looks like fucking Jamie Lynn Spears. She looks like Zoe 101, but an older woman. Tara Hancock. Yeah, she looks like Jamie Lynn Spears. She's kind of cute. She's about to say, "Ooh, I know you see me standing here. Do I look good, my dear?" And then she like fucking clotheslines a person. Yeah.
When an opponent is on the ground.
I said the thing.
My personal favorite new feature is the Brawl mode, where there are no rules, and if someone wants to stay on the outside of the ring and bash
yeah, she looks like Jamie Lynn Spears.
Chair, they can do so to their heart's content, or until the life bar's emptied.
Yeah.
Illegal moves such as the eye gouge and choke are unlocked, which are performed via the L and R buttons respectively.
You just choke a motherfucker out.
Of course, these are available in the regular matches, but only after the referee is knocked out cold.
Yeah.
You know what? I take it back. This is much more fun. Yeah, take that, you stupid ref. Trying to tell me what I can and can't do? I won't have it! If only I could choke right now, you'd be Wayne Brady quicker than the brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. As for the other new modes, The triple tag team is similar to the Survivor Series setting of the first one, with 2 teams of 3 members duking it out to see who's the victor, and select again being used to cycle through the partners, but the triple tag team differs in that only 1 pin is needed for victory. The Royal Rumble itself should need no description for even novice WWF or WWE enthusiasts, but for those who are unaware, the match begins with 2 athletes in the ring at the start, and as it progresses, more juggernauts pile in.
That was always fun.
Max at one time.
I always loved doing that, the Royal Rumble mode where all the wrestlers come in. That was really cool. And then you can just watch them fuck each other up. It was really fun.
Toss out all of the opponents. This is accomplished via the grapple into the Irish whip. If done at the right time, when the opponent is fatigued and near the ropes, the winner of the grapple will toss the loser over the ropes and outside the ring. With a 12-person roster, winning the Rumble in the game is a lot easier than doing so in the typically 30-person Royal Rumble pay-per-views, but I still felt accomplished when I lasted until the end to throw out the last man. That pretty much sums up SNES Royal Rumble. As for the Genesis differences, the only ones that I noticed are in the roster. Both the Super Nintendo and Genesis have 12-man rosters, but they only share Macho Man, Lex Luger, Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, Bret Hart, and The Undertaker in common. The rest of the Genesis roster...
He's such a Joey boy. Joey boy. He's not your goy toy.
IRS, Papa Shango, Model, Crush, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and the one and only
Hulk Hogan and Jim Duggan. Fucking Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Only Hulk Hogan.
With a 2x4.
I may be a Genesis guy, but in the battle between the 2 consoles on Royal Rumble, I've got to go with the Super Nintendo. All of the other features are exactly the same, but I just prefer the SNES's roster. Sorry, Hulkster.
What you gonna do, brother?
Well, what do you know? Royal Rumble had quite a few tricks up its sleeve after all. In spite of
The
lacking
script,
in
but yes, Jerry the King Lawler commenting instead of the brain this time.
warrior spirit, this newcomer put on quite a show. Give it up for Royal Rumble, ladies and gentlemen! We still got one more fight lined up for you tonight, and it makes for quite an explosive finale.
I had this game, WWF Raw. I had it for the Sega Genesis. It was really good. Very good.
I now give to you WWF Raw!
94, wow.
About a year and a half after Royal Rumble in December of 1994 came the last of the LJN published trilogy, named after the USA
Jerry
Network
King,
Monday
best
Night
dad
Show.
ever, Lawler.
Once again, it's another case of sticking with the winning formula, but adding further to it. The modes featured are a combination of the 2 predecessors, with the standard one-on-one, tag teams,
Good old Scary Sherry.
Royal Rumble returning, but with 2 brand new options, Bedlam and Raw Endurance Match. Bedlam is all 4 wrestlers in the ring simultaneously. The referee is present, but again, all it takes is a good punch to the chops for some chokehold fun. The Raw Endurance Match is a lot like Survivor Series, with 6 characters
Bam
on
Bam
each
Bigelow
side.
and
The
Doink
difference
the
is that there
Clown.
are no tags, and the next...
WrestleMania Arcade is like the best wrestle game. Other than like NWO versus WCW Revenge and like, you know, the Doink.
partner only comes in if the previous one is pinned. After 6 pins, the match is over. Raw retains the look and style of its kin, but it feels faster paced to me. The controls are largely the same, with grappling being as important as ever and finishers being retained from
Killer Clowns was still hot shit back then, Sweet Tooth, but god, Doink was wasted. Yeah,
Royal Rumble.
Doink sucked.
The most groundbreaking inclusion was
I remember watching wrestling as a kid and seeing Doink the Clown and be like, that guy sucked.
support via the appropriate accessory, four-player Mayhem, paving the way for the WCW titles in the next generation. I can't show you footage of this since I don't own a multi-tap. Just imagine that all 4 characters on the screen are being controlled by me and 3 other people.
Doink was awesome when he was evil.
The
I
roster
bet.
this time around consists of Bret Hart, The Undertaker, Yokozuna, Bam Bam Bigelow,
Bam Bam Bigelow.
Razor Ramon,
Based. Push for Vader in 96, then in 97 he was non-kosher now because Attitude Era.
Doink.
Vince needs a filter for his batshit idea. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, Kid.
Diesel. Yeah!
Owen Hart.
Rest in peace.
And Luna Vachon, the first
I don't remember Luna Vachon, but she looks alright.
female to be featured in a WWF game.
Yeah, well, Lex Luger's failed WWF push. Ooh.
If I could sum up Raw in one word, it would be extreme. Besides the new
they should have put Stephanie in there. Was Stephanie McMahon wrestling at the time?
Options and the
Put her in there.
around the ring. The
Vince really was really wanting to push Vince as a replacement for Hogan.
Noticeable spike. The preset
Lex, All-American Luger, yeah. He really wanted Lex Luger as like the next Hulk Hogan, and it just didn't work.
At 5 on Royal Rumble, I was able to get through the titular event without breaking a sweat. At 5 on Raw, I was barely able to progress in the tournament.
Worked, but Vince is an idiot and screwed himself, yeah.
Help that the AI is much smarter than the previous two, and they're always moving around the ring and hard to confront. I decided to...
Oh, fuck me in the ass. God damn it. They made a version of WWF Raw for the Sega 32X, and it's honestly not bad. You know Hogan somewhere.
And the next part... style of its kin, but it
Bingo.
feels faster paced. At 5 on Royal Rumble,
there we go.
I was able to get through the titular event without breaking a sweat. At 5 on Raw, I was barely able to progress in the tournament. It doesn't help that the AI is much smarter than the previous two, and they're always moving around the ring and hard to confront. I decided to crank it up to 10 for a laugh, and I got my ass handed to me in less than 2 minutes! Once I tucked away my pride and notched down to 3, Raw became easier, but retained quite a challenge. Good luck to those who want to finish the tournament, as its difficulty is unchangeable. The last major addition left to address are the Mega Moves. Like the finishers, each character has their own individual Mega Moves, but they aren't simple press R when an opponent is on the ground operations. The Mega Moves involve a sequence of button combinations akin to a Mortal Kombat fatality.
Makes sense.
I'm by no means a fighting game whiz, but I was able to pull off a few of these.
Boom!
With the assistance of a fact. They're completely silly and feel more cartoonish than reality, but it's cool to see Owen Hart whirl around the ring like a tornado or Bam Bam Psycho Crusher from side to side. I've never seen that on SmackDown.
That's pretty awesome.
WWF Raw took everything that was great about its older brothers and combined it into one awesome cartridge, then twisted the dial to 11. The only thing keeping Raw from being the perfect wrestling game is the exclusion of the Ultimate Warrior. Yes, I know, he wasn't affiliated with the company at the time,
Midway,
but still.
Yeah, that WWF WrestleMania Arcade, that is the best wrestling game for the Sega Genesis. That game is fucking awesome. The roster kind of sucks though, but yeah, it's a good game.
That would have been amazing. As for the Genesis differences, well, as far as I can tell, there are none. This is the first and only time that the rosters were the same on both consoles, so the whole Raw experience is offered either way. As far as the overall winner between all
Hey Lady Justice, what's up?
The only way to determine
arcade game, Joey, the pseudo Mortal Kombat gameplay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. WrestleMania, the arcade game. I played it a lot for the Sega Genesis. It had Bam Bam Bigelow, Bret Hart, Razor Ramon, Doink, Yokozuna, Lex Luger, Shawn Michaels. It was a good game.
That is in a no-holds-barred free-for-all.
Oh shit. Oh, I guess Raw for the Genesis and Super Nintendo one.
There you have it, folks. Despite tough early competition, the young...
Not much, just laying in bed watching Maine Coon videos and talking with Gaseous in Discord. Nice.
Upstart rises above in insurmountable odds to claim the belt. Bravo, WWF Raw. What an amazing performance. You only get excitement like that on the LJN Defender Championship Federation League free per-view extravaganza.
Huge doggos.
This is Mad Isro signing off until next time when the veteran Cygnus Destroyer takes to the mean streets to tackle one of his favorite franchises on the Sega Genesis. See you there for plenty of brawling action.
Versus Maine Coons. Well, that's it for my fucking LJN Defender series. That's all of them. Oh wait, Karate Kid. Fuck it. We got one more. Karate Kid.
My name is Matt, and I review retro games.
And I remember playing this game. This game is actually very easy.
Matt, and I review retro games. Like most of you, I'm a huge fan of
Karate Kid.
Nerd, and he's one of my biggest influences.
Loyal and good friends are an affair with Cygnus Kid.
I enjoy most of the turds he rips apart, and that is why I now don the moniker of the LJN Defender!
I like both Huge Doggos and Maine Coons.
LJN, along with Ocean, is known for holding a firm grip on the licensed property market, distributing countless games based on beloved 80s and 90s franchises. Last time, I put up a defense for Back to the Future.
Cat, not baseball, Americans for Maine.
Sequel for now, and instead, move on to another staple of 80s cinema, The Karate Kid.
That game's not terrible, but it's not good. It's very easy to cheese, and once you know that, you can beat the game instantly. The game can only... God, the beard. The game can only load 2 enemies at a time, so if you get 2 enemies following you, you can just neckbeard. You can just walk to the ending, and that's it. His hairline, he's going all soy.
First installment in the Ralph Macchio starring series was released in 1984, and the NES version, as of Back to the Future, came out much later in 1987.
But the NES version of Karate Kid was not based off the first movie. He's pretty much all soy. It was actually based off the second movie. The first part is the main karate tournament at the end of the first movie, and the third, fourth, and fifth level, or second, third, and fourth levels, are all based on the second movie. So, yeah.
A year after the Karate Kid Part 2 was released, owing to this, the 8-bit iteration focuses more on the events of the sequel than the original. The Karate Kid was one of the first AVGN episodes, and the very first LJN title featured on the show, setting a precedent for all of the rage to follow.
Damn you, son.
In metaphor for his feelings on it, the nerd flushed the Karate Kid down the toilet. Personally, though I play Back to the Future more, I think the Karate Kid is of a higher quality and a much better developed game.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's just very easy to cheese, and it's very quick.
Speaking...
Look at that Vandal. He looks more happier before man-wife appeared.
Quality. Remember how I teased in the Back to the Future episode about the shocking identity of some of the developers of these popularly...
Atlas. Atlas developed this game.
For this. Karate Kid?
I bet he has an AVGN body pillow. I bet AVGN sells a body pillow.
Was developed...
Atlas.
By Atlas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Shin Megami Tensei people, the Persona people. Sega owns the rights to Atlas now. Sega, by the way, fucking Sega, please put Jack Brothers on a fucking system. Jack Brothers is really good, please.
Yes.
Bet he shares it with Game Dude.
Persona fame. Atlas indeed has 8-bit origins.
He probably does.
Underrated NES gems, Widget, Rocking Cats.
Okay, Widget was a fucking ass game. That game was fucking terrible. Yes, you can emulate Jack Brothers. I have Jack Brothers on a portable emulation device, but still.
And one of my childhood favorites, Wacky Races. This fact alone speaks volumes on behalf of LJ.
Bro, you had Wacky Races for the NES? You should have kept that game. Fuck.
If you're going to accuse the company of putting out wretched licensed cash-ins, know that you also put Atlas in the same boat.
That game is worth fucking hundreds of thousands of dollars now.
As I mentioned before, the levels of the Karate Kid NES mostly involve set pieces from the sequel. The tournament conclusion of the first film is the only element present, and is the introductory...
Cobra Kai is a fucking good show, and I played Wacky Races on my PC. I played the NES version, I played the Dreamcast game, which is like a racing game. Cobra Kai is a fucking good show, and I cannot wait for the final season. Holy fuck.
The playstyle of this segment sort of takes after the Data East arcade hit Karate.
That game is fucking awful.
The tournament section is a breeze to advance past. There's no leg sweeping here. Just kick and kick some more until victory is achieved. No strategy required. James had very little to say about this section, and neither do I. It doesn't get more basic than this. After this is where the real action begins. Level 2, Daniel-san in Okinawa. From here on out, the tournament setting switches to a side-scrolling style.
They should have just made a Cobra Cuckold Daniel's Destruction. Yo, Cobra Kai was a good show. I like it, and I'm actually excited for the final season. I really like it. They take Karate Kid, and it surprisingly makes for a good TV show. And the fact that it started as a YouTube Red TV show is fucking wild.
Days of the NES. Take the black box classic Kung Fu and mix in platforms and weather hazards. The resulting mashup would pretty much be the remainder of the Karate Kid. The side-scrolling overall is standard and not really broken in any way. I will agree with...
The only thing I don't like is you have to press up to jump, but yeah, it plays... Karate Kid for the NES plays perfectly fine.
The nerd that up to jump is quite...
Pressing up to jump is pretty fucked up.
Aggravating, and caused me to miss time a leap and fall to my death a number of times. The other factor that can provide ample frustration is the overly energetic enemies. They're just...
Daniel raises his wife's daughter and gets screwed by Cobra Kai's edgelord Vietnam vet karate instructor who was the most batshit insane origin stories.
Constantly up in your grill and will do just about anything to ensure Daniel-san's demise, even sacrifice themselves. This, even more so than the Typhoon in level 3, is the biggest hurdle in making progress, so this is something that James and I are in total agreement on. I think I remember hearing on a commentary or somewhere that in the early days of the AVGN, James used to purposefully...
And by the early days, I mean like the first... Karate Kid episode, really. So like episode 3 and 4 he would play badly on. I thought this was like some combination of Good Morning Vietnam and Deer Hunter. Now fight to the death.
To emphasize the difficulty, I of course am trying to depict the game as it naturally is, and James really didn't have to play it up at all. The Karate Kid is naturally brutally difficult due to these...
It's also really easy to fucking break this game if you know what you're doing.
Guys.
Get 2 guys to follow you and just jump over shit. There you go.
The worst offender being the spear pushers in the final area. I hate those bastards!
Killer Kreese takes his high school karate too fucking seriously.
Colliding with the assailants will send the Russo flying back, potentially into one of the Death Pit abysses. With jumping reminiscent of a more polished Action 52, it can be hard enough to brave the Gale Force winds.
They actually made new Karate Kid or Cobra Kai games, and they're alright. The first one was like a beat-em-up game, and the second one was a beat-em-up game with like fighting game elements. And the first one was okay, and the second one would have been good if the fucking frame rate was like good.
Trying to do so while fending off the rushes of mental maniacs really ramps up the challenge. And yes, I dropped a few expletives. which I'll refrain from mentioning during my capture session, but I never stopped having fun during the hour and a half that I spent attempting to beat it.
Fuck!
I find the Karate Kid to be far less stress-inducing than Back to the Future.
Well, yeah, there's only 4 levels, and once you know what you're doing, you can cheese the game real easily. What do you think Kreese will do now? I don't know. I haven't seen the new Cobra Kai season. Killer Kreese Cobra Karate.
Especially since checkpoints are accessed across the stages, and life meter refills appear in the form of the supporting cast.
I will say Peyton List is fucking hot.
Of course, this doesn't make completion a simple task, but it eases the burden a little. Getting back to the controls, mine is up to jump. I think
I am just disappointed. What did I say?
They're well suited to the speedy nature.
I don't know. I don't know how Cobra Kai Season 6 is going to go. Shameful. What's going to happen? Kreese gets out of jail, which happened. So he's going to be the new bad guy. And then Daniel and Johnny team up with... And Cobra Kai and Eagle Fang Karate just become like this new school. And then like the bad guy gets destroyed. I don't know.
Much like they were for the previously mentioned.
Again. I don't fucking know.
Nobody complained about them there. A punches, B kicks, and the signature crane kick from the film, as well as the drum punch, provided extra powerful attack boost. See those C and D icons that constantly pop up after Danielson back?
I want a reviewer that uses AI to make fake game footage and just makes up everything for the video. That'd be fucking funny as shit.
Those manage the number of techniques that the titular teenager has in his arsenal at any given time. They have the bonus benefit of increasing the life meter a little every time they're collected. I never quite...
So they're health power-ups that give you an extra attack. Will Killer Kreese get his redemption arc, or is he gonna fuck it up like the time he took high school karate? Oh, I'm pretty sure they will give fucking Kreese a redemption arc, but he ends up going to jail. I guarantee that. Like you can see bits of that in the last season. Like when he sees like a younger version of Johnny going like, what the fuck, man? Yeah, Kreese is gonna get a redemption arc where he goes to jail. Imagine spending countless hours making videos defending these objectively bad games. It's not surprising that he deleted these videos before he went full Troon gaseous.
Figured out how to do the drummer crane during my playthrough. I could perform them, but I never knew what the mechanics were behind them. I later found out after reading the manual on...
Might be a step up for him? Wow. Really, just go to the gym and cut his hair and grow a beard.
Nintendo age, that these are simply accomplished by pressing either button without a direction. A for the drum, and B for the crane. Both techniques are faithfully depicted in translation from the big screen to an 8-bit cartridge. I guess I shouldn't be surprised about this, since Atlas was behind this. It goes to show that Atlas was grade A good since their formation.
I mean, this game's not terrible. You can't fix a broken spirit. Playing nothing but LJN games will tune you out.
The nerd showed 1, but there are actually 3 in total. Besides the swinging hammer, there's ice block.
I could do all the bonus stages in this game except for the hammer. The swinging hammer I couldn't do, but the fly and the ice blocks I could do perfectly.
And chopsticks fly catch. These mini games involve breaking ice blocks and catching flies with a pair of chopsticks. All of these are easy to learn, but tough to master. James made them out to look near impossible, but I was...
The hammer one is fucking impossible for me, but the other 2 I can do easily.
Actually able to ace both the swinging hammer and the ice block break. Don't believe me? Check out the footage.
Alright. There's some good graphics for the NES as well. I could never do this one. This one is fucking impossible for me.
Unlike Back to the Future, these are not required for passage to the next area. They're completely optional. The only reward received for completing the bonus stages satisfactorily are extra crane and drone.
8-bit rendition of "You're the best around, nothing ever gonna take you down."
Back to the Future could have learned a thing or two from the Karate Kid. In summation, the Karate Kid is average in comparison to Contra, Metroid, and its other peers.
Honestly, Contra is easier than the Karate Kid game. The only reason the Karate Kid game is easy to beat is because you can cheese it.
But it's actually one of the better LJN titles. The music is mostly unmemorable, but that's a plus in my book, especially after the chaotic dissonance of the Back to the Future soundtrack. It fits the Asian martial arts theme, but is mostly just there in the background. That in itself puts it leagues above its younger sibling. Add in a mostly tight control scheme, overall faithfulness to the source material, and skippable bonus stages, as well as the inclusion of multiplayer modes, and voila! A title perfectly fit for inclusion in the upper portion of the LJN echelon.
I mean, it's okay, but, like, yeah, it's not good.
Miles above Bill and Ted and Beetlejuice, but not up to the standard set by Friday.
Okay, I would say Karate Kid is better than Friday the 13th, but not as good as fucking Nightmare on Elm Street, but it is damn better than Bill and Ted. That Bill and Ted NES game was fucking ass. Oh, that game fucking sucked.
13th and A Nightmare on Elm Street. This one is definitely worth giving a second look to. And if you still think it's trash after re-examination, that's perfectly fine. At the least, you have to admit it's better than Back to the Future. There's nothing on par with the hell.
Don't watch the third Bill and Ted film. I did not watch the third Bill and Ted film, and I probably won't.
Well,
I like the first two. The first two are really good.
That about does it. At this, the end of my first full year on YouTube, I want to thank all of you.
Alright, well, that's the LJN Defender, and, yeah, his videos are pretty decent. They were alright. That's fair. They were, decent. A guy defending LJN games, and it's decent. So let's watch, one more video. I don't know what I'm gonna watch, but we're gonna watch something good. Tryhards who played as their daughters, like, fucking goddamn. Doesn't help they age like shit. I'm gonna watch. Two big reasons to watch another video. Ah! Fuck it, we'll watch a Hen and Minx video. Oh, not this one. That one's a car ad. This one?
Minasan, konnichiwa. It's time for another JoJo. Our J-wa this time is the word for fluffy, which is fwa fwa.
Fura fura. Fura fura.
Lots of things are fwa fwa, like this purse. It's very fwa.
Two 30-year-old lesbians are pretending to be female versions of Bill and Ted. She needs to get a t-shirt that says "My eyes are down here." I think she has that t-shirt.
Especially Pomeranians. Pomeranians are very fwa.
She has really nice eyes. Like, her eyes are really pretty, actually.
Lamb is fwa. Lamb. Now I'm gonna eat.
She basically looks like Alexandria Daddario if she was a weeaboo.
Some fwa marshmallows. Ooh, they're so light and fwa. These are vanilla bean.
She does have pretty eyes. Yeah, she looks like Alexandria Daddario if she was a weeaboo.
Wow.
Thick and fwa, right? Yeah, fuck yeah. What the fuck? Yeah, we're watching Hannah Minx.
Oishi. It's a delicious fwa treat.
The one that has the controller on the front with the buttons right on the nips.
It's fwa-fwa like a cloud.
Fwa-fwa.
Do you have anything that's fwa-fwa?
You have fwa-fwa. I can see two things right now in my face that's fwa-fwa, Hannah Minx.
Or have you eaten anything that's fwa-fwa? Leave me a video response and show me. Matane.
Matane, and matane to you. That's it for tonight. We watched some LJN Defender. I'll see you guys later. Have a good night. My cat is fwa-fwa. Oh, that's cute.